What's up, everybody? How you guys doing today? Early stream start today, so I imagine it's going to take us a few minutes for people to show up. So I think we will actually jump in and do like maybe 2 RTA matches. Don't want to do a whole lot because it's going to be a long stream with 600 reapps. But I think we'll jump in, we'll do 1 or 2 RTA matches while we wait for people to show up and chat to get a little bit lively. Man, I was getting hard. Well, I only did, what did I do, 9 wings? I think I lost all 9 wings. No, I lost like the first 7 wings last night. I was just getting crushed by some mixture of RNG and bad drafts. Some mixture of RNG, bad drafts, and the Water Twin Angel, which was really crushing me. That is interesting. So far, no activity in chat. So if you guys are there, give a shout out. I was gonna say no activity in chat, and we can't match an RTA. It's like I'm disconnected from. It's like I was offline. Oh, there you go. Let's just match up with a Gilby. Shout out to Mojo. All right, where are we going with this, Mojo? What up, Joe? How you doing, man? Can I send it to you? I do on occasion, yeah. Not super often, but I do use them on occasion, yeah. I actually used them a couple of drafts ago, I think. I might have them in replay. I just minimized Mumu Player by mistake, and now I can't find it. Oh, that's because I'm on Steam, and you can't lock in Steam. That's right. Okay. Tin line counter is Ethna, too, so I'm going to get smoked right here. Alright, we can do this. Yeah, I'm getting absolutely smoked on this one, that's for sure. Would have been nice if I could have at least stripped the counter there, but, you know, is what it is. I was getting smoked regardless. Just would have been nice if I would have gotten less smoked if I could have stripped the counter. That's probably the main difference. What up, Izu? How you doing, man? Not sure if there's actually any point in me continuing to play, to be honest. I don't see any way that I don't just, like, get destroyed here. Maybe if TL procced right there. What up, Artorio? Yeah, this is probably the last time for a very long time you guys will see me stream this early. It was second time in a week we did an afternoon one, and this was not easy to pull off. I might actually have some distractions through work here. You know what? If I could stun nothing, because the Pater's just gonna cleanse it anyway. Yeah, man, Pater's just so strong right there. Procs are strong there too. Procs are just as strong as Pater. Just saying. Well, let's actually do this. Bro, congrats on the C1, Aggie. Come on, Mojo, stop procking this much, man. I do need to stun Heigang here if I can. Nope, resistance. Okay. That was a proc for me. Oh, wait a second. Did I pull this off? Okay. I mean, I got procs also. That proc at the end was pretty big, but I know I got one or two other procs too. You see only the procs the other guy's getting. You don't see your own procs. You cannot resist the spare stuns. Now, the resistance on that Josephine was something else. Now I forget what I hit her with. Oh, it was the Tianlang, because my Tianlang is Tianlang's Bio. She resisted just the actual normal Tianlang stun. Glorious tends to run very fast. Nah, alright. Just because you said that, Tariq, I'm gonna lose, because Glorious runs like super fast cleave comp, so that was probably the worst possible time I could have done this. Yeah. That's not gonna go well for me at all. If you S3 Doom on Julian, if you're saying like if you put the Doom on kill thing on Julian, it just dies and it doesn't come back. Alright, well, you said Julian, so let's go Julian. And then let's not be complete food to a Layla, just mostly food to a Layla, because I'm sure that's what's coming here. Oh, or he does Shan, yeah. Yeah, I have no chance whatsoever to win this. If there was like not the correct time, yeah. So Tariq, I still absolutely hate playing turn one, but you have no choice, man. I mean, you just like literally have no choice. It's like play turn one or be food. That's your choices. Because like almost no matter what he drafts here, I lose. Because the Shan is a force strat. Yeah, Shan's a force ban. Shun's a force ban. They're all force bans. He's got 5 force bans here. And we'll take Dark. He has 4 force bans. The Fire Hacker, I think you can survive. Fire Hacker's pretty strong, but by far the least important part of his comp there. Fire Hacker could have been replaced with literally anything there, and he still crushes me. Fire Hacker could have been replaced with a Devilmon, and he still crushes me. One thing in my favor is the Vero may cut here. If the Vero cuts the, nope. Yeah, no, I'm effed. Oh! Did he, like, miss a crit there, or what the hell? That was unexpected. It's at this moment right now, I wish I actually knew what the Fire Hacker did. I know it's got a skill 2 that does lots of debuffs, and apparently it has a skill 1 that brands. Okay. I don't know what else it does, though. I know it strips, I know the skill 2 does lots of debuffs, and I know the skill 1 brands. I don't actually know, like, the overall kit, though. I am benched Siege today. Yeah, Vero is super strong in this meta right now. Alright, we are not going to be doing what we just did again against Glorious. That's just not a recipe for climbing. It's just not a recipe for climbing. Alright, so let's see. Probably should have first picked Heigang against him, man. The early pick Heigangs are so hard. Well, okay, it's not that they're so hard, it's that my Robo is not built well to deal with Heigang, and nothing I have is built well to deal with Shan. I just can't counter Shan, period. Alright, do I go Gianna or do I go Speedly? If I go Gianna, I am committed to banning this thing, and I'm not positive I cut him because he is super fast on all his builds. Alright, let's go Vanessa. I'm still pretty much committed to banning the Heigang, to be fair. Because I think he most likely bans the Robo. Yeah. That's what I figured. So the entire match will come down to whether or not more glances on Wind and or whether or not more can push back the Shan. But mostly to whether or not more can do anything to the Oliver. Nope, not enough. I lose. Well, Sagar is not. It's not going to be enough though. The Shan's in front of the Sagar. I mean, I tried to sack. I just didn't successfully sack. I just cannot counter a Shan, man. It's one of the monsters I lose to by far and away the most. Do I S2 or S3 here? I have to S2, right? I'm not going to land anything because I never do, but. And the Ciara procs, so I'm about to eat a bomb, and then the Shan's gonna S2 Vanessa, and then it's just pretty much over, right? Or am I just gonna like super hard luck sack right here? So yeah. That kind of forced him to hit the Vanessa. Still, unless I stun. Alright. I think I still lose, so if you look at me like... Look at just exactly how much positive RNG I've had here, and I'm still gonna lose. That's how badly I got outdrafted. He just missed his bomb, so I guess we go here. I mean, to be fair, like, if the more landed shit, then maybe I didn't need, like, all this RNG, but the more still needed some RNG to land shit. Just saying. I got pretty crushed here. Almost pulled it off. Wait. Did I pull it off? And that is your sack of the day, guys. That is a hard sack, man. That's like, he should be breaking his tablet right now. He destroyed me there. He absolutely destroyed me on that draft, and I just sacked all the way. It's one of those things, like, on a 10 scale, after the open, it was probably like an 8. Like an 8 out of 10 sack, at least. I mean, I've certainly seen worse, but that was pretty bad. The only thing is, if more landed anything on the open, then it wasn't quite as hard of a luck sack as it looked like. It was a luck sack no matter what, because I would have had to sack for Lord of Min. Like, I needed to sack. If more landed everything he needed to land, that by itself was a sack. It would have just been a really small sack. After more missed everything, it took a massive luck sack. So, whatever. Alright, well, we've got people here now, so that's kind of all we were doing. A little bit of RTA. We've got a huge re-app session, guys. We've got a huge re-app session coming up. So, we are going to jump into them now. Carlos, are you ready, bro? Let's see. Vera said, I see your post this morning on Discord. I did not, I don't think, see your post this morning. I woke up and I was working within like 2 minutes so that I could kind of prep for stream. So I don't think I got caught up on Discord this morning. All right, guys. So here is the deal. We have 611 reapps today, guys. 611 reapps. Be by far and away the biggest session I've ever done. And so in order to do that, there was no way that I was going to be able to look through every single rune. I've got about 4 hours in me on a reapp stream. By the end of 4 hours, I am just completely fatigued. And so all of the reapp targets are pre-marked. Some of them apparently still needing to be plus 12, but that's no big deal. All of the reapp targets are marked in advance, and then if we run out of reapp targets, I will go start to look for some additional targets. But we're going to start with everything that's marked. You can see we have in total 234 targets actually marked. So there's a pretty good chance, on average, when I'm reapping for siege stuff, basically, and if you guys saw in the title, this is a siege-oriented reapp session. I'm gonna start just titling these. If we're oriented on RTA, for example, then you put a lot more reapps into your best innates, and you put reapps into the runes and slots where you have your biggest weaknesses. So, for example, if you need a better more, you might spend a lot of reapps on a slot 6 attack percent or even a slot 4 attack percent. Whereas if your focus is siege, then you're going to spread your reapps further and you're going to try to just generally raise your overall rune quality. So today is siege oriented reapping, and on average, siege oriented reapping means that you're going to spend about 5.5, 6 reapps per rune that you would keep. Which means that I would expect that we would re-up about 102 to 105, give or take, something like that, runes successfully today. So when we're done, Carlos, you can actually mark this down. My expectation is that when we're done, we would have something like 130 re-ups left. Got you. So if we hit any big key runes, we can definitely craft some gems. I don't know. Let's see. How are we on grind? Yeah, so I mean, if we hit any key runes, then we can craft some gems. I mean, the reality is we're going to re-up at least 75 to 125 runes today. So even with all the beast claws, like what I find is that maybe with 100 beast claws, I get 10 gems to actually hit, by meaning that they hit like, 10% or whatever. So mostly what we'll probably be doing is marking a lot of the runes, but if we have like some really monster runes that we want to see on the spot, then we'll go ahead and craft the gems there. All right, so with that said, we're going to start with, I think we'll mix Vile and Will together. But we're going to start with just Vile and Will, because, kind of the most common. Will more for siege offense than defense these days, but still. And we're going to start on the slot 6s. I will probably jump over, excuse me, probably jump over most defense percent runes unless they have really good innates. And I imagine hit most of the rest. What up, Abdullah? So guys, we're going to jump straight into this. And right off the bat, this one is almost a keep in my eyes. You got 2, 1, and 1. I mean, they're kind of low. It's not my favorite re-up target, but if I look from HP percent perspective, yeah, there's a lot. This is not my favorite re-up target, to be honest. I mean, since everything's marked, I'm just going to skip over it. I'll just hit the most blatantly obvious bad targets first. This rune is honestly usable. Like, you regem defense percent, and there's a lot of monsters that can use this. It's missing some partial rolls, but yeah, it's actually not... I mean, it's not super efficient because you're stuck with not having a third grindable thing, but the innate's not amazing. I mean, it's innate, so it's fine to re-up, but I think we'll hit something like this first. So 2, 1, and 1. Actually, this one's honestly not bad either. Never mind. Like, if we're just looking for like really bad runes to re-up first, both of these two are usable. This has no innate. Okay. This one's straight bad. Okay, we got our first re-up target right here. We also apparently have no music. What just happened there? Okay. Try that again. Okay. Doesn't matter which side we take, both sides are bad. So standard rules apply. I will try not to put more than 5 reapps into... I guess we'll go 6, because I said 5.5, right? So I'll try not to put more than 6 reapps into any one rune at one time. For those of you who are wondering... Yeah, we're going to turn that one off today, actually. With 600 reapps, I'll just be a little bit more careful. Alright, off to a slow start, but it does come in waves. It honestly does. Like, you get into these stretches where you'll just hit like 5 reapps in 7 or something like that. It's technically better. It's not really. Okay, I kind of regret already having turned off that little pop-up. Just the muscle memory is going to kill me. Alright, definitely a slow start. But like I said, it really does come in waves. You can go 50 reapps with nothing, and then you hit like 5 and 10, 5 good runes and 10 reapps, and all of a sudden you're on target. So I won't like start panicking until we're about 300 reapps in, honestly. That's missing. I mean, so the thing that sucks here is this is like near max, this is near max, this is near max. If this was like, if this one roll was anywhere, this would have been an OP freaking reapp. But you know, we're missing an entire roll. All right, I am gonna start a little bit of farming in the background though. Let's also just clear the little yield marker thing. All right, we're gonna go like this. So I don't know which dungeons we want to run, but we'll just throw up like dragons. Let's see. What up, Data? How you doing, bro? Okay, that looks like a built team, so we'll do that. Okay, and he says giants, yeah. Alright, here we go. This is going to be the first rune that hits something solid. Well, that's interesting. The unfortunate part of this is that you would basically have to regem speed, which is not ideal. I honestly almost think I would probably change the speed into attack percent and make this a Helena rune. Because the triple here is nice. You've got the crit rate here. So if you made attack percent here, this would actually be a pretty good Helena rune or John rune, something to go with Leo. I'm not going to unmark it, but I'm not going to keep hitting it either. Move on to the next one. Now this is a pretty sad quad, but it is a quad, which means it's not sad. You see the 23 speed, and then you see everything else is like super low. But regardless, 28 speed, slot 6 rune, premium innate. That is always going to be a win. Always has been, always will be. We still give it legend. I do wish, you know, obviously, I wish we had the extra roll somewhere. I wish this was a high triple and not a low quad, but it's honestly still a freaking OP rune. Like, you go straight legends on this with no hesitation. The grinds are doing what the re-app started with. Okay, there we go. And we can't boost that. Let's see. Alright, I will leave that the rest of the way for you on how you want to do gems and grinds. Because I don't think you re-gem this. We got 11. I think you can put a legend grind on that. But I don't know if you're going to want to re-grind the speed or not. So we're just going to mark that gems and grinds. We'll move to the next target. This needs to go plus 12. Whoops. I need to add a lot of emotes to Twitch, Aggie. It's honestly more time than anything else. Like, all the emotes and like channel memberships and everything on both sides are way outdated. So we got a double and a double on a quad grindable rune. This one you do not really need to go any further. So this is just straight gem in attack percent and then grind everything. Flat HP has great synergy on an HP percent rune. Quad grindable is nice. The double on the defense is a little on the low side, granted, but this is still like a super efficient rune once you're done, particularly because it's quad grindable. So we throw this in. Thing is, we'll run out of gems like 2 seconds into all of this, but you can see like once it's like fully pimped out, especially because it's like still missing a speed, still needs to be regemmed attack for 10 or 11, still needs to be grinded attack. So that is, now when we talk about siege depth, that is the perfect example of a siege depth rune. Probably a little too slow for most RTA builds, and it doesn't have like all perfect exactly max rolls, but efficiency wise it's going to be 110 114% efficiency. Flat HP has great synergy on an HP percent rune. Defense, having the multi rolls works well on an HP rune. This is a really good like siege rune, whereas it's honestly, I mean, it's still pretty decent RTA rune as well, but it's a particularly good siege rune. All right, this one I'm still on the fence with. This one I believe just did not want to hit, so we can return to this one. Now that we have started actually landing stuff. Or maybe it's just this rune. Alright, maybe this rune is just cursed. We'll stop at 585, and we may not come back to this rune. Alright. Okay, the ones that have no innate but are HP percent, those are worth it. We have enough targets that we are probably not going to do a lot of no innates, but the HP percents, we use so many of those that I do think they're worth putting 3 into. We'll try each of these for 3. If they don't hit, they don't hit. Maybe we come back to them. This one actually did not want to hit as well. Okay. Well, now it wants to hit, sort of. Yeah. It's a triple and 1. So, I mean, the rolls on the speed and crit rate are nice, and we're going to keep it. Obviously, we're going to keep it. Question is, what do we gem? And I feel like the answer is the accuracy is definitely going away. You're going to keep flat HP because of the synergy. So the accuracy goes away. Does the accuracy turn into attack or defense? And I think the answer is the accuracy turns into attack, because that's going to give us the most combined value. Like, for this crit damage to have value, it has to be multiplying something. So I think the real answer here is that we put attack percent over accuracy. And then you have a pretty decent offensive base, like a vigor style rune, for example, is something that comes to mind. Ritesh, anything kind of HP scaling that doesn't have an auto crit. So it doesn't make a lot of sense on a Bi Young or a Mi Yang, for example. But anything that needs the crit rate and then does some sort of HP scaling damage, it's a solid rune for those types of monsters. Not going to be our best re-app of the day, but it's not bad. I mean, 23 speed with 10 crit rate. It's missing defense, but defense is the least valuable stat. So, I mean, it's overall pretty solid rune. Definitely not going to be our best of the day. All right, and then as I mentioned earlier, anything that is, you know, flat HP... Excuse me, anything that's HP percent without innate, we're just going to put 3 into. We'll see if we hit something. Hey, see? Turned... That's actually a pretty nice rune, to be honest. This is like a near max roll. This is max. This is a little under max, but still. This is actually a very nice rune. Doesn't obviously deserve the legend defense percent, but as far as the hero defense percent goes, this definitely works. All right, so see, we got off to a slow start, but we're accelerating quickly now. And that's what I said. It's like you can always have that slow start. There were a lot of defense gems, right? Yeah, we'll get these one more hit. Because defense gems I always wind up being a little high on. Like, I gem in less defense than anything else, so we give it one more shot. All right, this rune has already screwed us. This rune I'm still on the fence with. This rune we already put 3 into. All right, time to think about, do we really want to re-up this rune? And I would be leaning towards not until we've gone through everything else. I think, if anything, this rune is probably a little ahead of this rune. I'm not sure about that rune, so we're going to check accuracy now. Okay. 26 speed? Oh. Kind of like a siege offense galleon type thing. Not siege offense, like an arena offense galleon type rune, I guess. Problem with this is that there's almost never any use for it. See, this is somewhat usable. Change the defense to HP. The resistance kind of a dead stat. The one monster I could think of that would really get use out of this would be a 239 Tessa. Maybe a 239 Zing Zay, because they both want a little bit of accuracy. Overall, I can't say I really love the rune. I mean, there's no wasted rolls, but the resistance rolls are low, the speed rolls are low. It doesn't have a triple anywhere. And it's not quad grindable. So I think pretty much all the major things I would look for on accuracy, they're not there. It does have some use for siege depth as a depth rune. Probably enough use that it's no longer our first priority target, but definitely not. It's a rune that we're probably going to circle back to at some point. Okay, that is incredibly freaking unfortunate, but it is mandatory that we keep it. Who the hell would need a quad resistance and a pretty high quad resistance accuracy rune that either has no speed or no HP? I have no idea what monster would want a quad resistance accuracy rune. Maybe a Vile Nana that's not on damage? But then you're going to be, for siege, you just use Nana's lead. I have no idea which monster would ever use this. But I do know that you don't re-up quads, no matter. Maybe the only quad I could think of that I would ever maybe re-up, I re-upped one of these once on my own account, was a quad crit damage despair slot 4 HP percent. Like, I kept it for about 2 years, and it just never once got used. Yeah, I see no monster that would ever use this, but you just don't re-up it. It's just, a quad's a quad. Runes are way too easy to get for us to burn re-ups. See, this is actually, I see why you marked this re-up. We might go back to that one. It's ultra efficient, but ultra slow. I see why you marked it. Probably go back to that one. That rune's like 120%. The one I just went past is like over 120% efficiency, but also completely useless. So I do see why you marked it. All right. We started with 611, right? So we have 3 left to hit 50. Stunna, yes, I do. Ooh, wait. So we got 2, 1, and 1. Super low rolls, but at least the speed is gemmed in here. This actually has, this is another like 115%, because the rolls are really low, but it's still like, with the quad grindable, it's like 115. And it is theoretically usable. I'll tell you where you use this. It's like on a 239 crit damage, Clara on siege defense type build. So Stunna, if you want to check my website, which you can see, hey, I pointed in the right direction. Which you can see right there. So my website has information on it, but basically, yeah, it's $50 an hour. The main service I do tends to be a thing that I call roadmaps, which is basically kind of walking you through like goals and objectives on your account, but all the services I do are on the website. You can also message me in Discord if you have questions. positive I have plenty of runes that are just not usable, but I have a majority that are unique but usable. Any tips on cleaning up my account? Mild risk. Okay. So the biggest tip I can give you for that is how would I call? Okay, in order for me to answer this question, I can't re-app at the same time because it's a little bit more complex. It needs some numbers, so bear with me, guys. But I think this is a good question for everybody on stream. So Mild Risk says, I've got 5k runes on my account. I'm positive I have plenty of runes that are just useless, but I have a majority that are somewhat usable. So what are some tips on cleaning up my account? All right, so when it comes to cleaning out your account, the thing that you want to look for, first of all, you're going to keep all quads. Pretty much regardless, you're going to keep all runes that are, I'm going to say 110% efficiency or higher, but keeping in mind that efficiency is not everything. So like 110% efficiency Swift rune that has no speed and no damage stats is probably still useless. Whereas 100% violent rune that is just like completely stacked in one really useful stat may still be very useful. So efficiency is not everything, but it's a guideline. I would say the biggest thing, the most important thing when it comes to cleaning out your account, first of all, is to understand how to visualize what a rune looks like after it's gemmed and grinded. And then you're going to keep your quads, you're going to keep your high triples and pretty much all sets. For your damage sets, so that's going to be Rage, Fatal, Swift, and Fight, and Intangible. You're going to keep everything that has stacked damage, so like great synergy on damage stats, and then for Swift you also value speed in there. For your kind of siege-oriented sets, you're going to value anything that has, again, the same triples, anything that's really fast, anything that's really efficient. So siege-oriented sets, that's kind of like Bio Will, Shield Revenge, Nemesis, Despair, maybe a couple of others that I'm not thinking of at the top of my head, but basically anything that you would use on siege offense or defense. Those are sets you tend to value efficiency more. And keep in mind, efficiency is just a measure of how many stats are on a rune. So the number of stats on a rune mostly matter when you're runing a monster that's going to be in a long fight. And so siege monsters that siege monsters on Bio or Will or Shield or Revenge, all that stuff, they're usually going to be in longer fights. So you care about them just having a lot of stats. And then what you hope to have is a lot of runes with a lot of stats so that you can put together 6 runes that make the correct stats that you're looking for. I tend to think of runes as all pieces of a puzzle, and the more pieces I have, the more puzzles that I can create out of the pieces that I have. But with that said, you do have to, draw a line somewhere where the pieces are just fitting puzzles that are too old, if we're going to use that analogy. But they just, they don't work anymore. They're outdated. They just don't have good enough stats. The single biggest thing you're trying to do is get rid of the worst versions of your duplicative runes. So by that I mean, if you have your fastest slot 1 Swift is 22 speed, then you're keeping it. But if 22 speed is your 20th fastest slot 1 Swift, then you're probably not keeping it unless it has some sort of stacked damage stats to go with it. Guys, is anybody else finding the music to be high? I know it kind of comes and goes, so before I start jumping around, if anybody else thinks it's high, I am very happy to lower the music volume. I think it's actually mild risk, not mid risk. Sorry, you showed up in gray, and I just saw that. I just saw it was mild. But yeah, I mean, as far as it goes, guys, it's a longer, complicated topic. Like I have made many videos on it. But the gist of it is basically try and find all the runes that are similar of a certain type, and then cull out the herd so that you get rid of the worst few out of each of those runes that are similar. So if you have a bunch of Vio slot 3s that have 1 roll into each stat, you don't need 10 runes that all have no doubles, no triples, and etc. And you get rid of like the worst 3 or 4 of those types of runes. And then just make sure that in the process you are keeping all of your triples, all of your highest runes by slot and all of your highest stats by rune set and slot. So again, 22 speed is your fastest Swift slot 1. You're going to keep your 5, 6, 7 fastest slot 1s. If the 7th fastest is 16 speed, then you keep it. But if you're really fast and you're Swift slot 1 and your 7th fastest is 27 speed, then you're selling a lot of those slower runes unless they have really high stack damage on them. So you're basically looking for runes that have synergy, runes that have triples, For the siege sets or for some of the RTA sets, things like Via Will, you're looking for efficiency, and then you're trying to get rid of anything that's duplicative. So Victor, they got rid of they updated scenario rewards, because they're trying to make the game easier for new players to enter. So by giving more scenario rewards, apparently it's a tongue twister, it means that when new players join the game, they get more they get more stuff to keep them engaged, and they get more stuff to help them catch up to people who've been playing for a long time. So every month or two, they do stuff like that to try and lower the bar for entry for new players, because those of us that have been playing for many years are too far ahead. Bisteca's in chat. He is Carlos, yes. Alright, so still kind of on the fence with that one. But I will say between these two, this is the better version of an ultra efficient rune. I think we'll come back to all of those, and I do think we'll come back to them. But for right now, they're not our first priority. This is definitely, for example, a much better target. If that speed was higher, this would have been really nice. As it is, I think we can still keep it. I think you just gem in the attack and make it quad grindable. Again, we're on a siege focus. This is not like the greatest reapp target on Carlos's account. So I think it's probably fine to keep a rune that's going to just be really efficient. I don't know. I'm talking myself back out of it, and I'll tell you why I'm talking myself out of it. It's because we only have 3 resistance runes, and I'm on the fence with reapping the other 2. If we had like 7 resistance runes, I would keep this just because it's like really high efficiency. But the low roll in speed and the low roll in HP, which are the 2 most important stats on this rune, you know, for a for a resistance rune, the only monsters that would really care about high defense would be like a Fang, who really doesn't care about the speed that much, so you can gem the speed off and then you're losing a roll. Maybe like a Vela, who actually needs more speed than that. Yeah, I think your use cases for this are limited enough that because we don't have other re-up targets, it is worth going a little bit further. That muddies the water a little bit, but I think we are not gaining enough because it's only 5 defense and we lose the HP. See, now this is super efficient, but not necessarily super functional. By the way, I did lower the music volume, so just let me know if that was good. I'm going to lower it just a little bit further. You guys can let me know how that works. Left side is just better. Once it's gemmed and grinded, I think for a resistance rune, left side is still better. That's why I don't like, once you have a usable rune, I don't love slamming re-apps into a usable rune, because then you have to turn down other usable runes. Alright, it's not improving for right now. We're going to stop. I also just want to take a quick look. So we started with 234. We've only done 5. So we're just over 50 in. We're averaging 10 re-apps per keep right now. Like I said at the start, your goal would be 5 or 6 re-apps per keep. So it feels like we're a little behind. We have hit 2 really... we had 1 quad speed, but it was only 23. And then we've had a couple of other pretty good runes, but I don't think we've had like the like the greatest rune in the world ever type of thing yet. We've had 3 really solid re-apps so far, I think. But we're gonna switch this up a little bit to something a little bit easier to re-up, which is speed runes. These are easier because you're not chasing speed. And this, honestly, to me is a sell. I don't think I would ever re-up with attack innate. The defense innate's probably fine, but I think the attack innate's a sell. This is low rolls all the way through. I think we could do this a little bit. This one's, well, yeah, no, we can do this more than a little bit. We can do this a lot. We can take a high triple with a max roll into the second most important stat, and we are good. So yeah, that's why I said like speed helps us catch up because they're easier runes to re-up. Now the real question here is, what do we gem in? I can honestly see a case for gemming in crit rate over defense percent, believe it or not. But I think that I am overthinking it, and the reality is that it's pretty monster rune, and we just keep it quad grindable, we keep the flat HP, and we regem the defense, right? The thing is, defense percent is the least important stat on this rune. So when you're talking about 28% attack, the crit rate probably gives us more value than an extra 6% defense, right? But the flat HP also has more value than the defense percent. Generally speaking, in the artifact world, HP is just much more valuable than defense. So if we looked at this as a grinded defense, this would be 12%. If we looked at this as a grinded flat HP, 700 HP is about 7%. So I would take 7% HP over 12% defense most of the time. But I do think that the crit rate is just going to offer more value when we're talking about synergy on a rune with 28% attack. So now it becomes a question of, do we gem crit rate over 12% defense or over 7% HP? I'm pretty sold on the gemming in of the crit rate. Alright, so question now. Do we put in crit rate over HP or defense? I love the stacked HP here because we already have two maxes, like an 8 and an 8, right? It's just, it's a max single roll, but it's a max. I love the stacking of the flat HP there. But from purposes of efficiency and a generally more well-rounded rune, the defense has value. Also, if we gem off the defense, this rune could never go on like a damage main on or Vela. Realistically, you would probably go with multi-roll defense on those anyway. I'm honestly not confident enough which direction that I would go. So this is my fundamental dilemma. I think the rune in this second right now is better if we gem crit rate over defense. However, if we gem crit rate over flat HP, the rune retains a level of swappability or variability, because now you have your 3 core grind stats and you can change this crit rate into anything you want in the future and not really care. It can rotate from resistance to accuracy to crit damage to, well, it can't be accuracy because it's an 8, but you get the idea. It can be resistance, crit rate, crit damage. We can put a flat back on it and we keep all of our grinded stats together. So my inclination would be to put crit rate over flat HP, even though I think flat HP is the more valuable stat, because I think long-term the flexibility on the rune is worth more. With that said, I think it's like a straight 50-50. We're on stream, which always means I have a level of distraction. And therefore, I am not going to put the gem on right now. But Carlos, you heard my thoughts. I think my single biggest recommendation would be to look through the other high attack percent runes that you have and figure out what makes this rune unique. So because of the length of the number of re-ups, I wasn't really going to do this, but I guess I am actually going to do this. So this is 28%. So if we look at the other high attack ones we've got, this is attack. You can gem this defense into HP, but this is attack without crit rate. This is attack with crit rate. Crit damage has no defense. This is attack with accuracy, has no crit rate. This is attack with HP and defense, higher on the HP with crit rate. This has defense and you're going to gem the HP here, so this is low defense. And then this is the juiciest of them. Wow, so this is actually going to be your highest attack rune, and it's going to be on legend, so that makes it even a little bit more impressive. That's nice. Okay, so this is low HP, higher defense. So we know that we have a one rune that's lower HP, higher defense, and most of the rest is going to be gemmed in HP, so it'll be higher. This is higher HP than defense. This is, both are pretty low, but technically higher HP than defense. This is high HP, no defense. And then this cannot, I'm wrong, you can't gem in the HP because it's an 8, so this is going to be higher defense. It's like straight 50-50, isn't it? Yeah, it's pretty much 50-50 both ways. Alright, I think I gem the crit rate over the HP over the flat HP, because I think the future flexibility of the rune is more important. We never know what changes they're going to bring in. This is probably your best will slot 2 right now, just based, at least it's your best attack-based will slot 2 based on the runes we just looked at. And that 10 right there certainly did not diminish the value of the will slot 2. Neither did that 10. All right, my decision's made only because we hit 2 10s in a row. We got to hit the third. Well, my decision was made when we got on a run. This rune is insane. And yeah, I think you put the crit rate over the flat HP. I'm going to leave this here for you. Mark gems and grind. You can make the final decision, but that's how I would go. All right. Yeah, hitting the 10-10 right there was pretty insane because, like, if you hit 8s, for example, you don't regrind. The 7 on the defense, you can still regrind, but I don't regrind the 8s, not on Bio. All right, this one I still think is a sell. This one I can justify putting 3 into, but no, I can't, actually. Dude, Brad's Gronson, man, you've been on a run, bro. Huge congrats. All right, this is this is a triple into resistance, so yeah, we can re-app this. We're not gonna push this one very hard. We're done now, I think, or no? Are we? No, it's actually a triple into accuracy now. Okay. Don't love the defense innate, but I do love making unusable runes usable. All right, that'll work. Now we're done. Yeah, now we're done. We've got good synergy, double into crit damage, double into HP. That is truly like the best possible outcome I think we could have hoped for on this rune, because we're going to get great synergy all the way throughout. The defense innate is not something we really care about. Granted, the HP rolls are a little bit low, but the crit damage rolls are actually pretty high when you consider crit damage range. Being able to put crit rate on here, giving us great synergy. This is going to be great for an HP scaling bruiser type mon. There are a lot of those in the current game. So this is actually, yeah, this is pretty much the best outcome we probably could have hoped for there. We'll go ahead and do that. All right, this, let's see, 2-2. I think this is just gem the resistance, right? So we got a double in crit damage, double in HP. Granted, this is basically the same as the rune that we just kept. The key difference here is this is a much better innate, and the HP rolls are still somewhat low. I could see a case for re-apping this, but it would not be my first re-app choice. I would only do it if I were like really short on targets and I was really thin in will speed runes. But like this one right here, obviously a much better chance to upgrade because the rune starts off so bad. That's better. Not really good, but better. I do like the crit rate. I mean, honestly, there's a case to just gem attack percent in here and call it a day. If the accuracy rolls weren't so low. Because you're already missing a grindable stat. You've got great synergy. I do think that this is probably no longer one that we should be counting among our first re-up targets. And then I'm just going to keep skipping past that. Alright, we're going to come down here to slot 4. Let's do some crit rate stuff. 2 and 1, yeah, that's a clear re-up. Dude, I never get anything from Tartarus. I do really like this 29 defense, but the rest of the rune being so bad makes this a little bit tough to keep. Does make this a little bit tough to keep. I think for right now, we move on because it's surely going to be your highest defense slot 4, but I'm not going to unmark it. We'll probably circle back and figure that one out. Alright, so this is 2, 1, and 1. This is just a keep. I mean, I know, once again, I know it's low rolls, but I can leave it marked, but I think we're going to just have better targets throughout. Alright. 2 and 1. Okay, I get why you're re-upping this one. That one makes sense to me. Are farming, right? I mean, we've hit some good re-ups. It's not like we've gotten absolutely nothing. I mean, that slot 2 was pretty insane. We've had a quad speed, but it does feel like we're a little slower than I would like us to be. You know, we haven't hit that run yet where it's just like six in a row popping off type of thing. 2 and 1. That's probably a double 4 in the speed, and the attack is not the greatest synergy on slot 4 HP. But it's no longer probably our worst rune. Alright, so as I mentioned earlier, these ones with no innate will limit it to 3. Ahus, so if you're, the runes that got marked to 1 by default, those were, yeah, it's not runes that are dropping. Those are runes that you had marked as locked previously. But like any runes that are dropping from now on would be unlocked. Monster. So I think it's to prevent people from accidentally feeding, because a lot of people request rollbacks and then they say, "Oh, I accidentally fed a monster." So now you can't really say that you accidentally fed a monster. But they also said that they were only doing that for the monsters that were already marked. So like I just summoned, I summoned a hacker today and it didn't get summoned blocked. I did have to mark it, I think. Pretty sure. Let me see. Let me look on my account. No. Crap, I almost unsummoned it. Let's see. Where is the marking now? Is it here? Huh. Actually, I don't think I marked it at all. Oh, you know what? I marked it through the storage menu or something. Let's see. Oh, I see. Monster marker. Okay, it's just I have a tiny little tablet monitor underneath my main monitors, and the window was too small to see. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure I marked this. I'm sure I summoned it unmarked and then marked it. So it was just the monsters that you already had locked that they changed. Okay. We're going to stop there. That is technically usable, but probably more realistically a sell. I mean, no, yeah, it's a sell. It'd be usable in early game. It's not usable for Carlos, but we put 3 into it with no innate, so that's enough for me. This one we've already hit. All right, let's switch up to, again, let's try and just find some stuff that's a little bit easier to re-app. Let's do some slot 3s. Since we are going to have quite a few targets. 1, 2, and 1. This is just gem and go, I think. The crit damage doesn't have great synergy with the resistance, but it's a decent overall rune. It's not my first choice for sure. This one, on the other hand, is missing way too much. That's an interesting rune. I think here is pretty straightforward. You just gem in the HP percent. It's slow, but the 22 ACK is pretty sick. Definitely a keep for me at that point. You get 1, 1, and 2. This one's really generic, but anytime you can get, 15 speed, 15 crit rate together, that's not a bad thing. It is kind of one of your more premium targets because it's a great innate. But again, 234 re-app targets. So to me, this one's also just gem and go. I would probably just put defense percent on it, and then you've got 110% efficiency slot 3. I think this one's good enough that I'm comfortable just changing it to a gem marking. We'll skip over anything 135 with no innate. That would be a last resort. It's a triple in 1. It's a low triple, granted, but you gem the speed in here, and yeah, to me, I think there's a regem speed. The 25 defense is really not bad. I would just regem speed on that one. This 2, 1, and 1. Low roll into the defense. The defense doesn't have great synergy. This is a more fair re-up target. It's efficient enough that it's not our first choice, but I don't think I have to unmark that one. That one's pretty fair. Now, this is just ass. This rune is terrible. So there's a clear re-up target. Yeah, and then unfortunately the 4 and 4 into the crit rate's not ideal. That's solid though. For a siege support style rune, that is very solid. Here I think you just regem the defense and you've got great bruiser stats. Now you're losing the crit damage, it doesn't synergize with the rest of the stats, but the 19 res is a pretty respectable double roll. This one we can skip over for now. This one, 21 crit rate. I do actually see why you mark this, but I don't think I would choose to re-up a 21 crit rate rune unless we first verify that you've got like a whole bunch of other really high crit rate runes. 25 act, so this is somewhat of a lower triple, but still 25 act. It's a pretty strong slot 3. You've got the roll into speed and you can gem HP over res. To me, I think you just gem the HP over res. The crit damage actually does have some synergy here too. There's a lot of monsters that'll run slot 4 crit rate that still want that really big chunk of accuracy right there. On a 239 build, 15 speed is plenty. So I don't think this one would be a re-up target for me. Alright, we're going to skip over that one. And then this is basically a Theomar's rune. But there's Theomar, I mean if you summon a Julianne, obviously. This is pretty much a Theomar's rune, but this is, you know, full roll here, double here, 1 here, re-gem the HP. And so to me, again, this is probably a key. Now this one I do see, again, I see why you mark this one. This one will leave marked as re-up. I will say, I mean, the double into HP, double into defense, I wouldn't sleep on those types of runes. Some of it depends on how many Leos you have, but as a Siege player, you're going to keep every dupe Leo you ever get. And if you wind up getting 2 or 3 Leos, then you're going to start to want to build a lot of monsters to go with your Leo. And those monsters would really appreciate a rune like this, where you gem the crit damage out for... You can keep the crit damage and gem the flat HP either way, depending on which monster. Like if it's a Jean, you would gem the crit damage out for resistance. If it's a Helena, you gem the flat HP out for crit rate or the crit damage either way. Overall, I think this is probably a better rune than a lot of people think it is, but it definitely, more often than not, is a rune that you're going to put on. You're not going to put speed onto it, but rather you're going to put this rune onto a monster that goes with Leo. All right, we'll skip over that one. So we got a double crit rate, low roll ac, lowish rolls, defense. Yeah, this one is definitely, I'm a lot more comfortable with 17 crit rate as a gem target, as a re-up target than I am with 21. 21's a respectable triple. 17 is just not even. It's a non-max double. So usually around 19, usually around 20, I guess. Around 20 is probably where I start to balk at re-upping crit rate or speed. Up until 20-ish, I'm pretty comfortable re-upping either of those. All right. Keep this in. The only bad thing is I didn't track how many runes I just remarked. I feel like there were 3. So I want to keep track of that because I want to see how many actual runes we wind up. I still, like I said, I won't panic for like another 200 re-ups. We've definitely been off to a slow start, but there's so many re-ups and I know how streaky re-ups can be. I'm far from worried about the slow start, but I do want to get a feel for how we finish overall. So I want to say I just remarked 3 and I just put 3 in our chat, and then I'll do a better job at tracking those going forward. Better side here. It's still a re-up target, but that was the better side. Alright, that's good. So 2, 1, and 1. Yeah, this is super efficient. The 16 AC is nice. This got enough speed to run on most 239 builds. So we'll go ahead and mark this for gems and grinds. This rune sheet here should be easy 110% efficiency, give or take. That is a quad accuracy. 4, 4, 6, 6, or I guess it's 5, 5, 6, 6. It's like the saddest quad I've ever seen. It's not, but it's one of the saddest quads I've ever seen. That is definitely one of the saddest quads I have ever seen. Huh. Michelle, sorry, I missed your question. I see Jeff just answered, so I apologize for not seeing your question. Just started playing the game from long ago. All the abyss done on a big R5 farm, but I find myself without crystals often. I wouldn't say you're forced to pay. It depends on the speed with which you want to progress. But yeah, the speed with which teams can be farmed now, and the rate at which we drain energy, that it is hard to farm enough. You know, it's the downside to them putting in like 30 farm, and the downside to us having such fast teams that it does mean that you're going to run out of crystals a lot. So there are a lot of events that provide energy and crystals, but it can be challenging to be free to play. I'm not going to lie. Like you can keep up. There was I know a free to play guy who finished G3 in RTA last season. We've had free to play players in Skyfall, including last season when we won Legend. So it is possible to play free to play, but it is a lot more difficult if you're constantly struggling with crystals. So yeah, I'll be honest. Now, in terms of crystals for farming, the best pack definitely is the best pack is definitely the daily pack, giving you an extra 150 crystals a day. I actually think this is useless, and I think thing is, as useless as it is, man, I don't think it's our first re-up target anymore, that's for sure. We'll come back, we'll deal with that one later. Alright, 8 resonate. Yeah, this one has no synergy. 300 a month, having you caught up in a year. I have no idea what the appropriate budget would be. I really can't speak to that. I mean, I'm a whale, so I don't know what the appropriate budget would be. But I will say that, yeah, obviously, and some of it depends on the amount of time that you have available to farm as well. So I guess I really can't comment on budget. I can tell you like the best packs to buy. So the best pack, the most important pack, will be the Daily Crystal Pack, which is I think $44 a month. After that, you've got the TOA and the Daily Pack. So if you buy all of those together using Amazon coins, it's about $80, $85. The $5 rune packs are arguably the best value in the game. About half of the runes will come out as hero or better. You get 30 rollable runes in the set of your choice for $4 if you're using Amazon coins, plus 100 crystals. And if you think about how long it takes you to get 30 usable 30 rollable, not usable, 30 rollable bio runes, or 30 rollable rage or fight runes, the amount of crystals you save in terms of value is insane. The $5 rune packs reset every week, and even though I have like practically unlimited runes on my account, I even still buy them once in a while, just to YOLO and see if I hit like, because you usually get like 3, 4, 5 legends out of them too. YOLO and see if I can improve my Fat Lucian on a rage or fight or something like that. Yes, I am referring to, when I say value, I'm referring to the best value for people who spend. Absolutely, and I'm not encouraging anybody to spend. So Ilkana, I would say that luck always plays a role for like your quads. Luck always plays a role for your best runes, your most efficient runes, things like that. But outside of the rare, crazy stuff, volume plays a bigger role than luck. And that's why I'm saying, now again, this is only for people who would spend anything on the game at all. I'm not encouraging you to spend. But for people who spend, when I say best value on the $5 rune pack, it's simply that. It's because it provides you with volume. The amount of time and the amount of crystals that you would spend to get 30 rollable runes compared to what you get for that single $5 pack, the cheapest pack in the game, you come out way ahead. And then the thing is, if you buy that pack several times a month, you get a lot more runes to roll, and over volume, there's a thing called regression to the mean, and you'll wind up improving your rune depth. All right, let me refocus here. So this is not a good synergy. Still not a good synergy. Okay, we'll take that. We'll take that all day long. Very efficient rune here. I think you just changed the crit damage, honestly, for flat HP, since we're talking about, yeah, this I would actually just go flat HP. It gives you great synergy with the resistance, with the fact that we've got a decent double roll into the HP percent, and then it preserves flexibility of the rune going forward. Also got lucky that we nearly legend level, nearly a max on the hero. It's enough that I think it's probably fair just to grind it outright rather than having to regem it. Most of the time on those heroes, they're just cells. 7 right there is pretty nice too. So this is like 30. Oh, all right. Can we do it on all of them? Do it on all of them. Hey, there we go. Max, max, max. Yeah, so you put this together, and this is like 35% HP with defense, 16 res. This is actually super, super nice rune. We'll mark that one as done. So guys, some of you will have noticed the Streamlabs bot spamming in chat. I didn't mean to have it doing a double message. Actually, let me turn one of those off, because it wasn't my intention to have double message there. So first I'm going to turn that off, then I'll talk about it. Should be here. And delete one of those. Okay. Yeah, so the Streamlabs bot in chat. Oh, the day restarted, huh? Okay. They restarted on EU server. Got it. Streamlabs bot in chat is just mentioning a sponsored bit that I did over the last 2 streams for my channel. That sponsored bit still runs for 2 more days. And so that was for Monopoly Go. I'd like to give a shout out, a thank you to Monopoly Go, who sponsored last week's streams. And we're not going to be showing content on Monopoly Go today. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I just want to let you guys know, if you enjoy the content, if you enjoy the streams, it does help the channel out a lot if you try out the game. I can tell you honestly, I could show you on my phone right now, I've kept playing it. I generally only do sponsorships on games that I believe that I'll keep playing. I've enjoyed it, and my wife has enjoyed it a lot more. She got very hooked on it. But basically it works like this. I get credit when people install the game and they play it out to board level 2. Just try it out for about 5 minutes. If you enjoy it, keep with it. If you don't have to. But it does cost me about $700 a year for the stuff that I need to stream, which is like the licensing for OBS that we're using, licensing for various other software and stuff. And so doing a couple of sponsorship deals a year helps to offset the costs of streaming. So if you'd like to support the channel, it's very much appreciated. You have to download it from a cell phone, and you have to play it to board level 2, and the link is in chat, and then I won't bring it up again for a while. So I appreciate you guys bearing with me on that. Sorry to bother you. I want to offer promotion of you. Okay, almost read a promotion in there. Yeah, you were slow, Aggie. That was chilling there for a while. What is the best innate to have in a rune if I want to re-up? Good question. It depends on the rune and it depends on the slot, but in general, for swift runes, the best innate is probably accuracy, followed by, believe it or not, HP. No, I guess I'd say defense. For a swift rune, it's probably accuracy, followed by defense, followed by HP, and maybe some flat stuff as well. For rage runes, same kind of thing. So for swift, rage, fatal, fight, it would all be some stuff that you normally... But see, the thing is, I wouldn't re-app those. So you know what? I'm talking about what the best re-apps are, but I wouldn't re-app those. So if you're talking about the best innate to re-app in a rune, it's generally going to be something like max accuracy or occasionally really high flat stats that work well with the rune set. For Vio, I happen to really like crit damage. Like a max crit damage on a Vio is a great innate, assuming you don't have accuracy available, because on the rune itself, I'm not going to want to keep crit rate and crit damage together, and I'm hoping to get a multi-roll for crit rate if it's not a multi-roll speed. So I think crit damage tends to offer a lot more value. So yeah, I would say accuracy or crit damage, probably my two favorite ones to re-app, but it does depend a lot on the set. Did you just make it to 11, Jeff? I'm actually on board 13 or 14 now, and I think my wife is on one ahead of me. She's one or two ahead of me. Okay, this is not great, but it is usable-ish. No synergy on the crit damage and all low rolls. It's actually still probably barely, but it's a re-app if there. Believe it or not, on this one I gem out the res because of the crit damage innate. I think it's still a re-up target, but the rune's not popping, and we're going to move on, especially because we're still on slot 3s. Actually, let's move back over to our 4s. We spent a long time on slot 3s, so I just wanted to break things up. Let's move over to slot 4s again. All right, this one did not want to hit for us earlier. Yeah, and it's a double +1, missing a roll, so... Huh. And you downloaded... So the thing is, if you're actually on board 11, because there's a different thing in the sponsorship where when people reach board 11, it notes it for me, and it did not... Huh. Okay, so you would make at least four people I know of that got to board 11, but I only see 3, which means one of the 4 did not download onto a cell phone or through the link, I guess. And two of them I know for sure did, because I saw it click to 11 right when they said it. So it might be you, or it might be the other, or it might be one other person that it's not registered. All right, this is an upgraded version of the left side, right? It's not amazing still, but it is an upgraded version. So we'll take that, but we're still really not where we want to be. This is not worth it. I mean, here, you know what? Honestly, man, the crit rate's just... Yeah, still not there. Still not there. All right. We are definitely due. You know what it is? I know what it is. See, you guys don't see me stream at 1 p.m. all that often. And so now you see why I don't stream this early, because I know that I am somewhat low energy. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to make this a Red Bull day. We're gonna get some energy, and then we're gonna get some energy from our energy drink, and we are going to use that energy to start pulling out some water. To be fair, we've had two really monster re-apps, and we've had a handful of good re-apps, but we're just not getting the volume that we should be getting. That's the biggest thing right now. So. Red Bull time, cheers to everybody. We're going to switch this up to something we haven't hit yet. We're going to start doing some attack runes. I've got Faith. We're going to bring 3 out on the no innate right now. All right, I should Red Bull sponsor when it won't cause me fights at home to drink that many Red Bulls on stream. All right, 2, 1, and 1. That rune is very mediocre, but as a useless rune before, it is still a largely useless rune now. But with no innate, we're gonna keep it. No, we're not, man. It's too much of a stretch. That is just too much of a stretch. If it wasn't, yeah, it's just too much of a stretch. Okay. The truth of it is, a year ago, this would have been a keeper. But in the current state of Summoner's War, and with how easy it is to get runes, I just don't think that's a keeper. However, I also don't want to put more re-ups into it at the moment, so we're going to move on. We've got 1 into each, with 1 wasted in defense. I see why this one is marked a re-up. I see why we're going to turn this into a monster rune in 2 more re-ups. 3rd re-up, it's going to be a monster. All right, come on, baby. Yeah, it's left side. All right. All right. Because it's unique, it's better. It has very limited use case, but it is better than the other side ones. All right, we're gonna move on from that one. We're gonna move to the next one. Okay, this is a hot mess. It's got speed and nothing else. All right. This is a keeper. The 27 accuracy is actually pretty nice. I mean, I don't know. It's actually really efficient. Honestly, I don't even know why I'm like looking at it. This is actually super efficient. This is a near max triple. These are mid rolls. The HP is a little on the low side, but this is actually, it's actually pretty monster. I guess it's just, you generally like slot 6 attack. Well, yeah, even then, Carcano, this is great for a Carcano, it's great for a Theomars. I guess I just kind of got numbed out by the fact that we weren't hitting for a while, and it took me a minute to, treating that. And then as I'm talking, I'm used to like my own account where I just spam gems, but we'll hold off on the gem spamming for the time being. But this is actually really solid, yeah. I think we've been dry for a while, so I'm just kind of waiting for us to hit like that monster quad or something. But this is actually a legitimately super useful rune. I mean, got the roll into speed, near max accuracy. That one's a straight win. All right, this rune is straight ass. Not quite usable, but borderline. All right, we said 3 only with no innate, so we'll move on from there. It's a shame. I really do like the speed crit rate mix here too, but it's a really good innate for a slot 6 attack. Oh, I think the speed crit rate mix has more value than this. See, the thing with this is you have to gem out the resistance for speed and then keep the flat defense. All right, we'll move on to the next. We can cycle back to that one later. 2 2, 1, and 1, but on an attack, yeah, the defense is not like the most desirable. Let's go ahead and restart farming. All right, so Carlos says he forgot to double check his targets, and there were a couple that he would ordinarily have, or a couple that he meant to unmark and did not as well. So that explains why there were some 1-3. Some 1-3. Oh, is that going to hit monster? Come on, stop! Stop right there! Nope. Crystals, though. I have definitely seen worse wishes. But yeah, there were a couple that he did not mean to leave marked that he did, so... In Carlos's defense, the 135, he didn't mean to have some of those marked as some of the ones that were marked as reap, that were marked as reap. All right, we put a bunch into this one earlier. It is due. No, we didn't. This wasn't the one we put a bunch into. We said this one was kind of borderline. What up, Apoyo? Paulo, how you doing, Apoyo? I'm reading it in Spanish. What up, Apollo? How you doing, man? All right. Those two we skipped because they were both kind of borderline as reap targets. This one, I believe, we said we might circle back to because the resistance, it was efficient, but the resistance was kind of sketch. So, yeah, we're going to circle back on this one. Bro, come on, hit something. Okay, that... Hey, Zao, I mean, that's a mixed bag. So technically, if you think about it, because speed goes 4 to 6, right? So a mid-quad is 25. You're technically one under a mid-quad. It's just that we all really want the high quads, obviously. I wouldn't say unlucky, I would say unfortunate. Yeah, I would say unfortunate. Like, it could have been worse. I'll take a 29 speed Swift. You know, I'm not going to complain about a 29 speed Swift, but I also definitely would prefer 30 plus. So I get it, man. Hopefully the next Swift is a little closer to 35, though. Well, closer to 30. But no, I mean, you say it's harsh. But trust me, I get it, man, because you're like, oh, it was so close, it was almost there type of thing, right? So it's like that reaction. Or I've been saying this on stream a lot. I have been so incredibly unlucky, and literally, just like my summons have been so bad since the 10-year stuff came out. I mean, it's ridiculous how bad my summons have been. And with that said, I had the absolute craziest year in the game. For before the 10-year events, like, I pulled so many LD5s, so many good LD5s, like nobody, not even me, should feel bad for me. Since the 10-year stuff came out, like, it, you know, it was due, but then at the same time, it's the recency bias, right? Like, I'm not remembering the fact that I pulled Ragdoll, Tian Lang, and Asima, and a whole bunch of others in the last year. I'm remembering the fact that I had one bad month of summons. And so... like 100%, I get it, and I wasn't trying to correct you on it. I was just trying to say, like, yeah, try and, you know, take a step back and think about it. And, you know, 6 months or a year from now, every time you look at that rune, you'll be like, hey, I remember when I got that. That's kind of useful for me now. So it's kind of one of those things. you know, it's like in the moment it's frustrating, but down the road you'll be glad that you have it for an extra 29 speed rune. All right, I'm back and forth on these two, but at the end of the day, I think the 19 crit rate has slightly more value. Less efficient. That's the second time this has happened to us, but this one is actually a whole lot more useful than the first one was. I think we have to keep it now. It really sucks. Like, legitimately sucks. I have no idea where you will ever use either of those two runes, but I don't see how you re-app this rune, which is like 120% efficiency with a near max triple on the res, and all the stats synergize. I just don't see, there's no way that I could re-app this rune further. It will clog your inventory from now until forever. That is my curse to you. I apologize because you're stuck with it. I'm grinding it, I'm gemming it because it is way too efficient and way too high of a triple for us to do anything else with it, except hope that there is at some point in the future some new mechanic that Come To Us brings in, you know, just like their whole new thing now with all these monsters that always crit. You never know, at some point in the future, some new mechanic will come in and you will be like, man, this is the best rune on my account. Until that day, my apologies, but that one is marked as done. Should I only focus on speed while I re-up? No. Honestly, Apollo, in my opinion, that's probably the worst thing you could do. And you may hear a very different opinion from others on stream, on Twitch, whatever. The thing is, a lot of it does depend on what your orientation is within the game. If you're focused solely on RTA, then speed is going to be the most important thing by a mile. If you're focused on siege, then speed is still the most important thing. That's how this game works, but it is not the most important thing by a mile, and there are many other important things. It's true of RTA as well. There's many important things in both. I don't want to oversell it in one way or the other. But at the end of the day, RTA, here's the difference. In RTA, if you have a 55% win rate, you're probably G3. So you create an inherent advantage for yourself by taking first turn. And as a result, if you're focused on a first, yeah, and Salty's got a really good point here, so I should specify. If you're focused on taking a turn 1, or what I call a turn 1.5 playstyle, so turn 1 means you always compete for first turn. Turn 1.5 in the current meta basically means that you compete for first turn, but you're willing to just try and disrupt or cut and take over in the middle of the opponent's turn, either way. Usually involves some sort of CC. But in RTA, if you can take first turn a majority of the time, or you can, you know, take first turn or cut or disrupt a majority of the time and get a 55% win rate, you're probably G3. In Siege, if you have a 55% win rate, you probably can't be alone in a guild with 29 other vacant spots because you would kick yourself. It would be that bad. So in Siege, you really do have to more highly value efficiency. You really do have to more highly value diversity among runes and possible builds, and general rune depth and triples in a lot of other stats. And there's just a lot more value and a lot more runes for Siege. Whereas with RTA, all of those things are still good. Again, I don't want to try and undersell or oversell this, but you know, if you roll a quad HP rune and you're a turn 1 player, you're probably not going to put that rune onto many monsters that you're drafting in your turn 1 draft. And it may land on one, maybe you have an Abellio as a pivot or something like that, but you will really just not need as many of them. So yeah, it really does depend on what your playstyle is and what your game goals are. But for most people, I strongly would recommend that your goal with Reapps should be to make as many good runes as you can. And then over time, eventually you're going to hit a quad. And it doesn't, for most people, if you're not just trying to fill in a specific needed gap in RTA, but rather you're just focusing on depth, does it really matter if the quad lands on your slot 4 HP or your slot 6 attack or your slot 1, or it doesn't really matter? Quad's a quad, it's going to come when it's going to come, and in the meantime, you could be growing your account and adding depth across a variety of runes by just reapping until you get something good, as opposed to putting 100 reapps into just one rune. Unless, of course, that one rune is going to make all the difference for you. You know, I'll give you an example. I'm not spamming reapps right now on this rune. I probably never will. But if somebody were on my account wanting to play turn 1, arguably the biggest weakness in my account is that my fastest slot swift My fastest slot 6 Swift accuracy rune is 25 speed. So for me to run my fastest slot 6 Swift overall rune, that's accurate, excuse me, my fastest slot 6 accuracy rune overall is 29 speed. I have 2 of those. One is Will, so that's good, and one is Vio. But the Vio rune gets used on Vio Mons and doesn't really work as a broken set. So I can't build nearly as fast of a segment or almost anything Swift. Like if I ever pulled a Veronica, for example, my fastest Veronica would be a lot slower than she would be on basically any other build because I don't have that slot 6 accuracy. So if I wanted to fix a big hole in my account, I could just take every re-app I get from now until eternity until I get something faster than 29 speed. But since it's something like 5,000 to 1 to get a quad period, and 100,000 to 1 to get a 30 speed rune, the real number is somewhere in between, I don't know, 10, 20,000 to 1 for me to get a 30 speed or faster slot 6 Swift, and then that only upgrades me by 1 speed. So I would never get to re-app another rune. Like, I'd be spending years re-apping just one rune. I'd be turning down all sorts of really OP re-apps to keep re-apping that rune, and I wouldn't be improving my account. And so that's why I don't keep chasing that one. Can I show my Nikki? I sure can. I have to switch over to my account. So that is here. There you go. However, me showing you my Nikki really does you no good because this is not an appropriate Nikki build. I just realized that. This is a terrible Nikki build. I probably should not have shown you that. This is a Nikki built to be played in a Ragdoll Bruiser team. This is not the way Nikki should be built for 90% of the game. Nikki for 90% of the game would be much more like, well, I guess I'm going to have to. So, like a normal Nikki, first of all, keep in mind that you have to speed tune her. So the speed itself is somewhat dependent upon the speed of your other monsters. But I would probably do Nikki something like this. That's fine. Something like this, I guess. This would be a much better Nikki build. But again, speed tuned based on what monsters you're using and so forth. But yeah, normally you would just see Nikki on like either speed attack, or triple attack, something like that. And then she'd be running much faster and tuned with the other monsters that she's running with. And then of course you're just going to be additionals, but again, if you're running that not that, like this. So. You're going to be very heavily additional by speed and additional by attack, basically. Something like that. Alright, back to re-ups. Alright. We're gonna do 2 more on this one. I think 2 more on this one. Because I don't want to use... I would much rather re-up a slot 246 with no innate that is a useful like attack, HP type rune than to be re-upping a bunch in the slot 135s. Yeah, there you go. So that sounds pretty solid. Just keep in mind, it really just depends. Like you actually saw 1 in 256 for a speed roll to be a quad. Let me see. So it would be. Oh, you know what? Yeah. So Sprockets. First of all, I think I gave you when I said 5,000 to 1. I'm including the drop, not the. So that's not on a re-up. That's the drop a rune. I think 5,000 to 1 is to farm a quad. I did the math a long time ago, but I want to say that I probably factored in like drop rates by set and drop rates of legend or something. But I mean, so on as a basic, like if you assume like, or maybe it's 5,000 to 1 of all legend runes, because not all legends have speed. Damn. I should probably not quote stuff that I mathed out 5 years ago. All right, I think I have to go back and redo the math. Probably should. Thank you for calling me out on that. But yeah, so it'd be 4 to the 4th power to get a quad, right? So that would be 256 to 1 to get a quad, assuming the rune starts with speed. Oh, but on a re-app, not all runes start with speed. So it's 4 to the 5th power. So it'd be 1,000 to 1 to re-app a quad. Yeah, because it'd be 256 times 4, right? So it'd be 1,024 to 1 to re-app a quad, any quad. And then you could just base it on the number of speed. So it's about 10,000 to 1 then, because I think it's just, from that point, you can just say all quads available would be 20 through 30 speed, which is 11 total numbers. So it'd be 11 times 1,024. So, you know, somewhere around 12,000 to 1 to re-app a 30 speed quad, but about 1,000. No, hold up. That first 4 is not accurate. It's the odds of getting speed times 256, and that's going to depend on the slot and the innate and whether or not there is an innate. Damn. Okay, yeah, I'm not going to do this math again on stream. I did this years ago in a spreadsheet. Pretty sure the 5,000 to 1 was to drop a rune and then quad it. And that was probably after B12s came in, honestly. I think we took like the rates that legends were dropping. And I think that was the rate to drop a rune and then hit a quad off of a legend rune out of the B12s. An actual re-app to a quad, in most runes, you have about a 50-50 chance to get speed on the rune, so it would be about 500 to 1. And then it would be about 10 times... Oh, there you go. There you go. It'd be about 10 times 500 to 1. 11, technically 11 times 500 to 1 to get the 30 speed. So it'd be about 5,500 to 1, give or take a few hundred. Doing a spreadsheet, but about 5,500 to 1 to get a 30 speed rune on a re-app. So you need about 5,500 re-apps for 130 speed. That makes that math should be correct. That math should check out. All right, so let's beat the odds and do a 30 speed rune right here. One in 81 to get 30 speed. Okay. So, I think it actually... Yeah, I'm not going to get this done on stream. I can do it off stream. I'm not a mathematician. I need a spreadsheet. I'm good with manipulating numbers, but as far as figuring out the equation, I would need to do it in a spreadsheet. Yeah, so I feel like the original way that I did it was something like 4 to the 5th power. But it wouldn't be, because it would actually be 4 to the 3rd power to the 5th power. I think that's the correct formula, is something like 4 to the 3rd to the 5th, or something like that. But I think it's like this. I think it's something like that. Yeah, but I just... Now, again, it's been 5 years, and figuring out the formula itself and verifying that I didn't screw up the formula, that's something I have to do offline. I can multiply the numbers easily, but as far as actually making sure I got the formula correct, that's got to be offline. Alright. Okay, these runes don't want to hit. How about this? I was on the fence about this one before, and I am off the fence on it now. Okay, so 1 in 500 to get quad and 1 in 81 to get 30 speed. I'll take your word for it on that one. Although I think the 1 in 500, yeah, 1 in 500 to get the quad and about 40,000 to 1 to get the 30 speed. That makes sense. Okay, I can buy that. I can buy that. Izu, unfortunately not something that I can do. It was really tough for me to get out of work, and I actually still like just having work messages like flowing in this whole time. Part of the reason that I might seem distracted right now is because I'm having to monitor work so that I'm making sure that I'm not missing something that I have to deal with. So it's a little bit trickier. Speaking of. Yep. Okay, yeah, it's a little bit. Man, see, I shouldn't have done that because now I just saw the stuff that I have to address. Yeah, so that probably that right there, that whole little bit right there, probably shows you. It's I did a couple of early streams this week for EU, but yeah, it's really tough for me to stream early on weekdays. All right, and now I want to make sure I don't screw this up. So yeah, I don't think that this one's a re-up target because it is actually highly efficient and it's got the defense innate. The only thing we could do here is basically speed chase. So I would probably just go with gemming this one out. Since it's resistance, I would honestly put flat HP here. I think that's going to synergize really well. I think we've got the gems for it as well, and this is actually quite efficient. I do wish we had gotten a better roll than that, but is what it is. So I do try and keep, yeah, I wouldn't give you, unfortunately I wouldn't be able to give specifics. I try and keep my work and Summoner's War stuff separate, but I run a non-profit organization that helps people with addictions. Alright, we'll go ahead and mark that as grind. Yeah, that's marked as grind. Okay. Let's move along. I know we put a bunch into this one earlier. This one's not quite as good as the one that we just passed up on, and it also has a slightly better innate. So this to me is a much better target. Was a much better target. The 25 HP works pretty well with crit rate. Honestly, there are real use cases for this. The catch with this one is it's going to depend on which case you want to use. There is a case to just gem defense percent off and put on speed. There's also a case to regem attack percent. The difference between those cases, you're going to regem the attack percent if you're going to run this on monsters that run with Leo. You would take the defense percent off and put on speed, even though it's the higher roll, if you were thinking about using this for a siege defense build like a resistance Savannah or a resistance Odin. So we're not going to put the gem on because I would have to know Carlos's entire box to know the correct way to modify this rune. But I know Carlos is listening, so Carlos is a 25 HP, 12 crit rate, slot 6 bio res rune. And yeah, that's basically the two ways I would go. If you ever try and build trap defenses like a resistance Odin, resistance Savannah, that type of thing on a trap defense, I just change the defense percent for speed. Otherwise, I would most likely change the attack percent for speed because the stats, I would either change the attack percent for speed and use this as a support rune, like on a Luis, be amazing for like a support, or I would change the attack percent for a higher attack percent and use this as like a with Leo rune. So that kind of depends on your box. Either way, that rune is now much better and done. So it's 2 and 1 and a low 1. This is still a re-up target right here. Alright, that is missing a lot of stats and rolls. So is that. I thought if the speed was 21 instead of 11, this rune would have been great. Although it wouldn't have been possible because then the roll into flat HP would violate the rules of Summoner's War, but it would have been a great rune if the speed was 21. I'm just saying. Man, they just are not wanting to pop today. 1,000. Yeah. I mean, you know, reapps have gotten more accessible over time, for sure. This, man, I've done this ring so many times. Like, so many more times than I want to, I should say. Alright. We no longer have lost rolls, and it does have a use case, so we're done with it. Here you can regem the HP, and this is a viable rune for a Tessarian. This is a viable rune for a Zingzei. It's probably about the length of it because of the 19 res, but it is viable, and that's enough, because we've put too many re-ups into that rune already. This rune right here, so this is 2-in-1. This is definitely still a re-up target. Hey Nixon, thank you for the comment, and thank you for the follow, man. I appreciate it. Completely understand. I was talking about that earlier. It is, yeah, it's hard. I'm West Coast USA, so I'm 9 hours behind most of Europe. And so that makes it really hard for me to stream at EU-friendly times. I did try for a long time, but it's just, I used to try to do one early stream every Sunday, but it's just hard. The same thing, but better synergy on this side, right? Yeah, because this fits better with an attack rune. You can almost make a case for keeping this. It's a tripling crit rate. If this, I mean, I wish we had one roll into speed. I think you probably keep going with this. But yeah, I mean, I tried for a long time. I'm not a morning person, so it was always very tough for me to do those earlier streams. I mean, it's not super morning, but when you have to be up and have a lot of energy and stuff, up as in energetic, like when you know, anybody who saw the start of this stream saw how low energy I was, and I know that. It's just not being an early person, it takes me a while to get going. But the bigger thing is once I got married, and also work has picked up a lot in the last couple of years, so I struggle I've struggled with enough time for work, and then also if I can take a day off. Most weeks I work 7 days, but when I can take a day off, it's usually Sunday to spend it with my wife. So the EU streams, unfortunately, just got really hard to do. Ah, man, I think you keep this one. I'm gonna be honest. So if we look at overall crit rate here, it's this is a defense rune, right? So this is 18 crit rate on an attack rune. This is 16 on an HP. And then the next one that we get down to, I mean, the highest crit rate on an attack rune is this rune, which is terrible, and it's only 12. So even though this rune is missing an entire roll, not only is it your best rune in slot, it's likely to be your best rune in slot for a very, very long time. Because you would need like 2 or 3 runes with a higher crit rate before I would recommend re-apping this further. So I think we go ahead and you can just regem. Obviously, just regem the defense. But you know, I understand we're missing a rune. I understand we're missing a roll. People out there are going to shout hero rune or blue rune or whatever, but it's his highest crit rate in slot by 6, and that is significant when you're trying to make a crit damage build, because you have to have those high roll crit rates in order to get to a crit damage build. Because, you know, math. All right, so this one is our next re-up target. Here we go. Well, now we have a higher crit rate rune. It is a worse rune, to be fair. It is a worse rune, but it is higher crit rate. We've got a near max triple now. Man, you can go 2 ways on this one. Man, this rune is bad, though. This rune is really bad. I mean, again, you have to keep it. For every reason I just stated a minute ago, you have to keep it. And honestly, I think you put the speed over the resistance. You put speed over resistance, and you gem this in, you re-up this again in the future. So even though we're gemming out a roll, this rune, so if you think about whenever there's resistance on an attack rune, that I always name the same couple of monsters for use case. It's Zingzei and Tessarian, right? Well, Zingzei and Tessarian, they both need to be tanky, and neither of them can be tanky with this rune. So this rune has exactly 1 use case, or 2, I guess. This rune has exactly 2 use cases. It's a Theomars or a Julienne type thing, or it's PvE. So in the case of PvE, you want the accuracy and the crit damage. In the case of Theomars and Julienne, you want the accuracy and the crit damage. As little accuracy and crit damage as there are, it's still better than none. So at this point, you gem the resistance into speed, and then you put a category in here, which he does not currently have, but he's got one that says grinds and gems, and enchant. I don't know why you have one called enchant. Let me see if that's being used. If it's not, then we're gonna create a new category for you. It is actually being used. Okay. So I don't know what enchant means, so I'm not gonna mess with your marks. However, I'm gonna show you this on my account. So on my account, I have a marking. I keep saying categories, I mean marks, obviously. I have a mark called Reevaluate Later. And I use Reevaluate Later for a couple of things. So Carlos, the problem, even if I were to change it, I first would have to unmark all the... Well, let me see. If there's not a lot of runes marked enchant, then it's not a big deal. If it's a lot, then we would have to unmark all of those, right? So let's see. There's about 20. Okay, I guess we can unmark these for you real quick. Because honestly, there's a bunch of runes that I want to put in this marking that I'm referring to right now anyway. As we're going through the reapps, this would be a little bit easier if I had this category. So while I'm doing this, the category Reevaluate Later, it is literally what it sounds like. It's a rune that you don't know what to do with today, or you cannot do something with it today, and you want to do something with it in the future. So there's 2 reasons that I would use this particular Reevaluate Later. There's 3 reasons I use it. The first is that it's a rune that is not very good, or it's modified in a weird way. And so by modified in a weird way, I'm going to give you an example of a Leo rune. So let's say that you've got a rune that is like super high efficiency, and you gem the speed off of it so that you can put it on Leo. Well, at some point in the future, that rune may no longer be on Leo. And when that happens, you want to remember to put the speed back on that rune. When I say it may not be very good, maybe it's like, so this is going to be exactly like this, the Vio rune that we just did right now is a rune that's not very good, but it's your best rune in category right now, and that's the 23 crit rate. Ooh, sorry to hear that, man. Where'd it go? Yeah, it's here. So this rune right here, 23 crit rate, 8 speed, it is usable, and this is your highest. It's your highest crit rate in slot. So we're not going to keep reapping it because it's useful for you for a while. But at some point in the future, you're going to have other really good, probably better runes with really high crit rate rolls, and you're going to want to reapp this again. So we put this as a Reevaluate Later so that you'll know at some point in the future that that rune is there, not forget about it, and then you know to reapp it. So I use Reeval Later for runes that are on the verge of getting sold, but not quite worst. Like not quite, I haven't quite gotten enough better versions of that rune to sell it. So it'd be like, for example, using Swift, right? Let's say you've got a bunch of kind of like mediocre, not very good Swift runes that are all 27 speed, and you have just a couple of runes that are 28 and 29. Well, you're going to want to start selling some of those 27s, but not until you have more 28s and 9s. So you might mark the worst of the 27s as Reeval Later, and when you start to drop faster Swift runes, you know which ones to sell. Otherwise, you get stuff that might be modified with really weird gems for builds that go with Leo, or for PvE builds that you want to remember to regem back properly later. And you get runes like this one that, you know, the stats are all completely terrible, but because it's like 11 crit rate higher than your second highest in slot, we're keeping it. So those are situations where you would use the Reeval Later type marking. All right. That is actually a one and done. So the stats here are super low. Honestly, this is, so now remember when I said I would like to have that category reeval later? We're already using it now. So this is a rune where you've got 2 low rolls into speed, you've got good rolls in crit rate, you've got low rolls in crit damage, it's only double grindable, but this is a really good offensive rune, again, for that Theomar style build that I was talking about earlier. And this is just because we just looked at it at Carlos's attack percent runes. I happen to know, not happen to know, we all just saw 2 minutes ago that Vio slot 6 attack percent is not an area of strength for him when it comes to crit rate. Which, you know, for attack percent, that's a really important subproperty. So now we've got this rune that's got a good mix of crit rate, speed, and crit damage. It's not super efficient, but it could take me 20, 30, 50 reapps. I mean, it could also take 1, obviously. But normally, you know, the amount of time it would take to get like these same stats, but just with slightly higher rolls, could take quite a while. So I would much rather just save this rune. Oops, that should be reeval later. We're going to mark this rune as a reeval later. We're going to put some gems and grinds on it right now so that he can use it for the time being. And then when he's got more depth on the Vio 6 attack, we'll come back and re-app it again in the future. So that's exactly how I use the reeval later category. And of course, like, I just wanted to have, okay, yeah, we're done. Yeah. Just grind this thing because it does not want to hit. So just gem and grind this thing when you throw it on, but I'm not going to dump unlimited grinds and it won't hold. But yeah, so that's a perfect example of the reeval later thing. I know that rune's not super efficient, but it's one of his best runes right now. And more importantly, it's unique to a need on his account. And so that's kind of the goal here. Now, this is kind of pushing it. Even with no innate, that's a little too thin, I think, to keep. All right, now this one actually, even though it's not super efficient or anything, this is just a straight keep. And the reason it's a keep is because there's no innate. And this has PvE application, mostly PvE. This is mostly just a PvE rune. It's one that you're pretty much never going to use for anything except PvE. But I don't want to put a whole lot of reapps into a rune without innate. And it does have a use case, and it's got good stat mix for that use case. So there's no reason for me to go further with it. That's basically the deal with that one. This one is not wanted to hit, but we're starting to get into a groove now. We got a couple of runes to hit just now. So let's see what we can do. This one has eaten up like more reapps, I think, than all but one other rune. And I think we're going to move on from this one. It's just, we're not going to hit this one again this stream. We will stop at, we'll give it 3 more tries, and if it doesn't pop at 425, we're done. Not on this stream. Alright, this one we're done with. I'm not touching this rune again this stream. Does not want to hit. Teor, you're banned. This is a triple +1. Really bad synergy. No use on the... Yeah, I see why this is marked. Thing is, the triple makes it somewhat usable, but man, it's a really rough rune. And the thing is, like, triple defense sub on an attack percent rune, this right here is actually much better. Not great, but way more efficient. The crit damage is nice. And then you have a choice. You can go 2 ways with this. You can gem in crit rate or speed. Obviously, the most logical thing to do would be to gem in speed in most cases. It was also despair, so we're definitely done with that. Okay. What up, Aegon? No. This is the guy who just followed all the other Legend Siege players and stole a badge. This is grinds and gems. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna bring this back down to via will, and we'll come here. All right, I don't want to do a whole lot of defense percent runes, but a couple are worth doing. That's actually not bad. Oh man, this man has not gotten any juicy LNDs for like a whole month now or something. He's been sitting on an LD blessing for a while. I'm like 500 LD scrolls since my last LD5, man. Nobody should feel bad for me. I had the craziest year in like freaking Summoner's War history, so nobody should feel bad for me. But yeah, I'm on a dry spell. The dry spells come when you've got a blessing. I can't get an F tomorrow, man. They didn't bring out packs on the last update. Recommend for NB5? NB5. Are you saying Necro Abyss? I don't know if you mean Necro 12 or Necro Abyss 2. Sorry, I'm not sure which recommendation you're asking for. We have had one quad speed. It was on the low side. It was 23. So we've had one quad speed. We've had a handful of super efficient runes. We've had one quad resistance and one high resistance. But overall, it's been kind of slow, honestly. We're definitely like in need of just a little hot streak to kind of catch back up. Like considering we're almost 200 reapps in, I would definitely have wanted to see more overall runes successfully reapped. I think the ones we've gotten a handful of really good ones, but we're just really behind on volume, basically. Especially because we're doing siege-oriented, and we're trying to get, the goal in a siege-oriented session is you should be reapping like one rune every 5 reapps, and that just has not been happening, as you can see. Also can just go crazy where you pop 10 runes in like 2 minutes at any time, but don't worry, it's EU Siege. Where I'm not bringing us in new competitors. It's EU Siege. Other server, we're good. Inner server maybe. I guess inner server competition. Sell his runes. All right, 24 crit damage on a resistance rune. See, this is what I mean. Like, even when we do get something pretty efficient, this isn't crazy efficient because it's low rolls on the act, but when we get something crazy efficient, it doesn't really make any sense. But that was a lot of reapps into that rune, so I'm gonna switch it up. Let's go to slot 5 where we can get our highest efficiency stuff. Let's see if we can get something like quad grindable. We're not even looking for like crazy fast, no quads. We don't need any of that. We just need some quad grindable right here. We'll be happy. Just want to see like one super high efficiency rune. Well, when I said quad grindable, I was kind of thinking that it wouldn't be all min rolls. But this is quad grindable. It does have a double into speed. It's just really low double. However, I think this is actually, it's kind of hard to pass up on this because we have enough slot 5 targets. If this was your only slot 5 target or something, it'd be a different story. But it's quad grindable, 17 speed. It's a very efficient rune. Despite the fact that they're super low rolls, it's still going to be well over 110. I'm not going to spam the grinds here, though. I'll leave that to Carlos to do. And also, we've just been dry, so I would rather try and spread this out and get as many usable runes as we can. But, I mean, I shouldn't say that because I would have kept this in any situation. It is... There we go. So this just goes grind. Okay. Ack HP. So this is what? 211. I see why you marked that. And it's probably, realistically, it's probably a target, but it's not our best target at the moment. This is a much better target, for example. Fire Monkey, Dragon, or Beast Rider. Fire Monkey, Fire Dragon, or Beast Rider? Are you asking which monster to choose in your Intertrans Blessing? So that is a high triple that doesn't synergize with resistance. And no attack percent or crit rate. Like, I'm not a huge fan of re-upping this, but I don't see really any use case. It can't even go on a broken Lucian. That's 2, and that's a triple. It's a triple on crit rate. Good stat synergy on this side. I mean, we'll keep it. Actually, I mean, it's like missing so many stats. It's got all the synergy, but none of the stats. But that rune didn't want to pop. Let's just let's try something over here. Let's see. That's already quad grindable. Man, low rolls again there. 1-1. Okay, yeah, this one's missing all the stats. Okay, blessing. Fire monkey. I'm assuming you mean Fire Monkey, Fire Dragon, or Beast, or Fire Beast rather. So that'd be Meihu Wang, Zyros, or Masha. Okay, between Meihu Wang, Zyros, and Masha. Guaranteed crit mons would use. Fair. But wasn't it a resistance rune? I mean, I guess you could have a resistance Byung, but then it's kind of too slow for his base speed also. And it didn't have enough HP. Like, you would need the 24 crit damage to have like an HP roll and then 6 speed instead of having like a double 4 speed with no HP. Okay. Alright, so we're gonna go this side. It's still a re-up target. Alright, between Meihu Wang, Zyros, and Masha. So I can say that Meihu Wang... Well, let's start with Masha. Masha is pretty much an RTA-only monster. She is good. She's very good. She's arguably a little better than Meihu Wang, but they're basically the same use case. I would say Meihu Wang requires better runes than Masha, and Masha's going to perform a little bit better despite using slightly worse runes. So in RTA, I would give Masha a slight advantage over Meihu Wang, but I do think that you draft them in the same spots. A lot of times they get drafted together. And I would say overall, I would probably rather have the Masha than the Meihu Wang for RTA, but I wouldn't care which of the two I had as long as I had one. Now, with that said, Meihu Wang can be used in Siege. Masha really has no business ever being used in Siege because she's just too RNG based. I mean, maybe that's a little strong to say, but it's very rare that you would use Masha in Siege. I think you would get more use from Meihu Wang in Siege than from Masha. Zyros is going to be mainly arena offense. You can use him a little bit in Siege. And he's also going to be TOA. Zyros is probably my third choice out of those, just because you don't get to use him in the major game contents quite as much. So I guess overall from the three, I would lean towards Masha if RTA is your only focus, and I would lean towards Meihu Wang if you enjoy both Siege and RTA. And I would take the Zyros if you're just trying to progress in arena, like get your new best arena rank. But Zyros doesn't really fit the current arena defense meta that much. So he's still a really good monster, but I just think he's replaceable. So I guess it would be mostly between Meihu Wang and Masha. And if you play both Siege and RTA, I would take the Meihu Wang. If you play only RTA, I would take the Masha. I think that's how it would go. Alright, what are my thoughts on the Siege update? So here are my thoughts on the Siege update. By the way, guys, just a heads up. So I was just speaking with Carlos. With the number of re-ups that we have, and also with the time difference to EU, we're going to wind up splitting the re-up stream into two. So we'll be streaming for about another hour today. We'll probably finish with between 200 and 300 re-ups. So that'll still give us one more really big re-up stream coming up after this one. I will post that stream in Discord. So the Water Beast Rider is a different use than Masha. Very different use, to be honest. Barbara is something that you more often would use to take turn 1. Masha is something that you would more often use to counter CC units like a Chung Pung or an Oliver. But because Masha is a direct counter, then she becomes much more RTA, and she's a little bit more RNG based. You tend to build her higher damage with less HP, so she's not great at like trying to survive turn 1 in siege stuff. And then she has to land her accuracy resistance check in order to do enough damage. So that just makes her much better monster, much more suited for RTA than for siege. Meihu Wang, because he's tankier, usually built tankier, and he can last in a longer fight, even if he misses his accuracy resistance check, he can still perform well. So that makes him more usable in siege. All right, we're gonna go again on this one. Thoughts on the siege update in general. So obviously, I'm actually benched for today's siege because of this stream. And the last time I tried to do siege on stream, it was just a disaster. I won't be trying that again. Took my first loss of the season because I didn't want to show comps, and so I was just mirroring stupid shit and wound up getting soloed by a Carcano. Granted, it was a little bit of bad RNG. The Carcano took like 7 turns, but that doesn't matter. It was bad offense. I mean, because it would have been a free win. So I decided that I won't try to force stream and siege on the same day any longer. Now, with that said, with me not being in siege, it's kind of hard for me to really see the differences, but it's also going to be a 3-part update. The major change that was done today was siege prizes, so I'll be missing out on the first siege prizes, I guess, and was the points that you get for winning. Now, my thing with this is I am not convinced that Com2Us is going in the right direction with this, but I hope I'm wrong. That sucks that we got defense percent right here. Let me see. So we're giving up 6 crit rate for 4 attack. Yeah, no, even though this has more rolls, the defense percent is largely a useless stat on this rune. And I think this side is actually better, right? I mean, the crit damage is useful, but you have to gem speed in on both. So here you would get speed under attack, crit rate, accuracy. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter because we're going to re-up either side, but I do think the left side is better. Yeah, okay. Alright, well now, totally different type of rune, but much more functional. Much more functional. We got a double, decent 6/6 here, decent roll on the HP. Does synergize with the flat defense. Really strong support rune right there. So that is definitely one that we would just move forward with. This is the type of rune, I have a lot of these types of runes, and people are always like, why do you like resistance? But it's because as a siege player, you're going to build a lot of max resistance builds. So monsters like Riley, for example, like a 239 Riley only has to be around plus 130 speed and does still have to get the resistance. So if you can get your resistance through subs and then you run just on a slot 2 speed instead of slot 2 HP, it's pretty easy to get a 239 Riley and work in a rune like this, which is going to be super tanky. The defense matters a little bit less for Riley, so maybe Riley is not the greatest example here, but you get the idea. It is more like a resistance Veligul type build, or Aaliyah. Aaliyah actually scales pretty nicely off defense, and she's built with defense. You know, she has the defense buff, and she's run with Fang a lot. But there's a lot of monsters that would find value in a rune like this. Very high efficiency rune. Not the highest because it's slot 5 and we're not quad grindable, but generally high-ish rolls, high efficiency rune that has great synergy. All right, so regarding Siege, my thoughts on the way that they're implementing the points are, I don't think that it's going to solve the fundamental. I don't think it addresses many of the fundamental issues of Siege. And I think there's a chance that it's going to make things worse, to be honest, because while a few guilds will consistently win and pull way ahead of everybody else, the massive guilds are going to wind up having shifts that are way too big. So yeah, Skyfall is probably going to wind up being way out in first place unless we get 2v1'd a lot or something, or way out in the first couple of places. But when you get those guilds that are like fringe tourney guilds where there's like 40 guilds that are all pretty close together, and it's very easy to drop into third, especially because they didn't address the issue of a 3-guild siege. So we're not going to 1v1 sieges, which would have fixed it. Like if we went to 1v1 sieges with the point change, that would have fixed a lot, but we're not making, they haven't announced that change. I don't think it's going to happen. We're not creating a different rule set for G3 Siege. Like the things that I would like to see, those are mostly not happening. And I think what is concerning for me is you get like 20, 30 guilds that are all around equal power, that are all trying to make the edge of siege, right? Like trying to make it into tourney siege, but they're on the edge of tourney. So you could have a guild rank 25, for example. That's a tourney level siege guild. And what may happen is that they get a bad matchup into a couple of higher ranked guilds. They finish third. And because there is such a massive point drop now and a massive point differential, they could drop all the way down to G1. And then you have a G1 siege where it's just like 2 G1 guilds that are getting completely blasted by a tourney level guild, which is completely unfair. The changes don't really do anything to address the fundamental issues with the time drain of siege for tourney level guilds. And so, like I said, I think we might be going in a bad direction, but I said this last stream as well, the fact that Com2S is addressing Siege and has admitted there's a problem, I'm super happy about that. Because Siege desperately needs a rework, and they did say that they're going to keep monitoring it, and they're going to keep tweaking it until they get it right. So one of two things happens here. Either I'm wrong, and it wouldn't be the first time, and if I'm wrong, then that's cool. If Siege gets better and it gets fixed, I'm happy. So, I don't have to be right. Or if I'm right, but Com2S is true to their word and they keep monitoring Siege, then that problem will become apparent and they'll fix it. So although I don't think this first wave of fixes is what I would have recommended or what I would like to see, also keep in mind, Com2S has absolutely crushed expectations over the past 2 years. Every time they say we're going to be looking at this and they start to really pay attention to something, they've gotten there, and they've done it really well. The quality of life stuff we've gotten for the past 2 years has been great. The changes that they've made to dungeons, although I can't say they've all been great, because some of them have made the game, they've created a lot of power creep and they've been easier. They've also been necessary changes to lower the bar to entry for new players. And so I wouldn't really argue that any of them were wrong. I think, some of them were more beneficial to other people, so then we don't enjoy it as much type of thing. But I think for the most part, Com2S has gotten most things right over the past couple of years. And it would be, and I'm going to give them a little bit of faith, and I'm going to give them a little bit of trust, and I'm going to hope that they get this one right as well. And so either it happens the first time and I'm wrong, or it takes a couple of tries. Maybe it takes us 3 or 6 months to fix things. But if they're working on it, I'm happy. I guess that's the best way I can say it. Alright, so this rune right here, I do think we have to keep. The biggest question is, do we put defense % over attack, or do we regem the speed? And I feel like the answer is we put defense % over attack for synergy, because if you regem the speed, unless you put a legend there, you're realistically only going to gain 2 more speed. Is 2 speed worth 16% defense on a pure support rune? And the answer is no, it's not. So you're going to put defense over attack. You're going to live with the fact that the rune is a little bit slow. Everything I said on the last rune applies. As far as this is now a 37, maybe 37, 37, 37, 37, 35. Now a 35% HP rune with, they're granted very low rolls, but with an extra roll into resistance, or an extra quarter roll, if you want to say it that way, into resistance. Still has some speed, and it's going to work as a support rune. So, yeah, defense was definitely the way to go there. All right, defense innate, we don't have to do that now. Maybe we could do that at some point in the future, but certainly no rush to do defense innate. This 2 into speed, 1 into HP, 1 into accuracy. Probably not a target for me, but we can go back to that. This is a double into crit rate, 1 into defense. This rune has use case. This rune has a fair number of use cases, so this is worth like any of the defense scaling damage dealers, like a Velajul, Manon, stuff like that. This rune is just pretty straightforward to keep right there, I think. Alright, we've got flat attack, double into accuracy, double into speed. On a slot 5, we're not quad grindable. We can gem in attack percent. And you get something like a Ciara style rune out of this, which is still reasonably efficient. So I think that's probably the route that I would go. Put some attack percent in over the crit rate. I know Ciara wants crit rate also, but you're usually going to put her on slot 4 crit rate. So again, I just think if we're talking about like where should we best use our reaps, that one's probably not the best place to use our reap. Quad speed, absolutely not. Okay. So this one right here, we can probably do get a lot more value out of the reap. Okay, I can dig that one. That's better than the last one. That's actually, this one's worth a legend. It's definitely worth a legend. Oh, okay. Hey, are we starting to heat up, guys? Are we finally about to find that heater? All right, well, this just became legend worthy. This is, that's fine, though. 38% HP with great stat synergy across the board. This is one of the best reaps of the session, I think. That's a done rune. You might want to regrind the defense, but that's still a done rune. That was fresh too. So the trick is we just have to roll them before we re-app them, and then we're like one and done. Man, it's been like all session before we got a one and done, like a good one anyway. All right, one more. That was a 2 and done, but still good enough. All right, here I think we go attack to synergize with the crit damage. Yeah, we're gonna go attack percent over crit rate. That'll work. Man, it took a long time. Took a long time to get onto a little groove, but we got the groove now, so now we've got to accelerate a little bit. I'm gonna stop spamming the grinds. Okay, I'll just mark that grind. There we go. Alright, are we in a groove, guys? Is it due? Are we gonna start to knock out runes left and right? That'll work. So we'll put gems and grind. Well, yeah, that's got to be regemmed. So we'll regem that. Kind of a shame they're all will. It would have been nice if a couple of these were Vio, but regardless, at least we're starting to finally knock out runes at a better pace than like 15 reaps per rune. That started off kind of nice. Crit damage was so-so, but the speed, obviously, and the speed crit damage combo was nice, and then it just died completely on us. If either of these were usable, could have gemmed the other. This could be a with Leo rune. I think I'll leave it marked Reap, but I'll move on to the next one. Then after this rune, I'm going to take a quick restroom break. These are low rolls. I think we keep reapping this, but I am actually going to take that quick restroom break right now. So I will be right back, guys. And I'll be right back. Yeah. Alright guys, we are back. I cheated and took a minute to answer a work email. Alright, so is 200 the highest you can go in Siege? I have no idea. I mean, in lower level sieges, you could certainly do 15 or 30 and 0, but I don't know if you get more than 200 points for that. 30 and 0 would be kind of tricky, but I'm pretty sure I could 30-0 a low level siege. I think I could 30-0 would be tough. I'm sure I could get 25 wins on a low level siege. I don't know about 30. I guess it depends on how low level. What do you think, Aegeon? How many wins could you do? 30 is easy at G1. Yeah, it's been a long time. So I mean, I could run, let's see. I could run 8 Kinkies and Ongyuki. Probably all get solos. I mean, I guess you could just run 30 Windies, honestly. Like, you don't need all the LD stuff. You could probably just, yeah. You could just run 30 Vampire Windies, and it should just be like a free 30. I mean, you'd obviously have to pick your spots. But yeah, I think 30 Vampire Windies would probably do the trick, as long as you had like a decent Vampire set for it. Maybe not in G1. In C3, I'm sure 30 Vampire Windies or 30 Vampire Tractors or some combination thereof would get 30 and 0. You might get luck sack like here and there, but if you did it like every siege, you should be able to do it. I would think. From the defenses I've seen, I would think. Alright. Shevin, I actually do not have plus 30. I don't know. My defense wins would just be like however many times I got attacked, I think. Especially now that like there's better AI. I think, man, like if you had a tourney level player that went into like C3 and the AIs couldn't derp, that would be pretty rough. That would be really, really rough. Like imagine Foxy trolling now. That would be pretty brutal. What up, Morbius? How you doing? So Shevin, I do not think I have another summoning session scheduled right now. I don't have to remove the IGN; they wouldn't know. But you do have to remove your skins and auras. Now, I haven't been active enough on YouTube or Twitch for a couple of years. Like, I don't think there's many people left that would recognize me that would be in a guild that low. Because I think most people knew my channel for guides. And most of those people would have either no longer still been playing the game or would have moved up by now because it's been a while. It's been a couple of years since I posted regularly at least. Alright, we did a bunch of slot 5s. They're mostly wills. Let's change things up. Let's do some slot 1. Well, let me see what we have for slot 4s. Okay, yeah, we didn't... Ooh, that's a premium target. It's actually a decent rune already. I think we might have hit that one. This, on the other hand, is definitely a good target. Shevin, message me in Discord. I'd be very happy to set one up for you, man. Yeah. Yeah, I'd be happy to set that up for you. Those are always fun. I'm just, the pause was me trying to think of my calendar. Next week? Next Tuesday. Looks like I could do it next Tuesday. But message me in Discord, and we'll see if that day works for you, and if not, we can find a day that works for both of us. I don't think the bot still has a Discord link, so let me drop a Discord link into chat as well. Let's see here. There you go. All right, efficient but not particularly good. We'll move on from this one. Oh, not move on. We'll continue. Sige, we will continue with this one. Alright guys, one more reminder, as you just saw in stream. If you would like to support the channel, I have the sponsorship deal going with Monopoly Go for the next few days. I am 3 activations short, guys. So if you would like to support the stream, it's very much appreciated. For me to complete the sponsorship agreement with them, I need 3 more people to install the game and just unlock the first board. So just unlocking London. I'm saying 3 days, it's actually 34 hours. I have 34 hours left to complete the deal. So there's a link that just dropped into stream. Actually, it only dropped into one of the streams, so I'll drop it into the other one. But yeah, the revenue that I use from a sponsorship agreement, that just goes towards paying for things like the software that I use to stream, possible hardware upgrades. I would like to get a new microphone at some point, things like that. So anybody who wants to support the stream, it's very much appreciated. And of course, a huge thank you to Monopoly Go for offering us this sponsorship opportunity. If you already have it, I don't think it would work. So it has to be installed on a cell phone. I'm pretty sure it has to be a new account. So yeah, if you already have it installed, it wouldn't work. And it does have to be installed on a cell phone, just to clarify. Cool. We'll talk soon, Chevin. Thanks, man. I appreciate you asking. Alright, that rune does not want to pop. We're going to move on. We'll go back to it. Like I said before, I don't want to do a whole lot of defense stuff, but there are uses. Oh, okay, well, we'll take 20 speed runes. I mean, defense or not, we'll take a 20 speed rune. I was actually just about to say there are definitely uses for defense runes as well. And there are uses for 20 speed runes. And this rune actually has really nice synergy, honestly. Like, it's got the speed over the res roll. We get to gem in the HP, so pretty much we're going to wind up with our highest stats in order being speed, then HP, then res, which is perfect. The only downside to this rune maybe is the crit damage innate, but that was always going to be a downside because the defense slot 4 was never really going to benefit. You know what, this should actually be legend. Let's do this. Defense slot 4 was never really going to benefit from a crit damage innate. This is actually a very usable rune though. So obviously defense runes are a little bit more in the meta now because of Battle Angels create more traps for Battle Angels type of thing. But this is also a solid rune for like Vela, Fang. I mean, anything that defense scales, especially those that are going to be... Fang doesn't really need the speed. I take that back. Vela, Tyrannus, if you have a Pater, I mean, whatever. Anything that defense scales is going to be happy with this rune. So that's a grind. I think that's HP over defense. Not a huge fan of that as a re-up target. I don't mind defense on other... Like, if this attack rune, I wouldn't necessarily mind attack over defense as much, but HP over defense I'm not a huge fan of. Because the thing... Well, and especially slot 4. Maybe if it was slot 6, even then... Like, the thing on HP runes, we typically... The one rune that you really consistently want defense on is an HP rune. So... Alright, well, it's better than it was. Not by much. Okay, that's not bad, and it's certainly good enough. If you think about who would use this, this is definitely a solid Dominic style rune. This got pretty much all the stats we want for Dominic. We would rather it did not have crit rate innate. We would rather something like flat attack innate. But for like a 239 Dom, it's a little too slow for a 286 Dom. But for a 239 Dom, giving him the extra flat HP has great synergy. Remember, he doesn't really need crit rate or crit damage. He basically just needs attack, speed, HP, defense, more flat attack, a little bit of accuracy for the brand, and that's about it. So this is actually a really nice like Dominic style rune. This is also super thick for like a Kinky style rune. Not so much, and honestly, actually with the defense percent, it's not a bad Cocky style rune. So... And I'm naming a lot of the monsters that tend to use slot 4 attack as well, because people will often ask, why would you re-up a slot 4 attack? That's kind of an older school of thought. You don't use a lot of slot 4 attack, but you definitely use some. And I did stop with the speed at +3 because the speed grinds have just been awful today. But let's see, 1 and 2, this is still a re-app target. Yeah, you definitely do use some slot 4 attacks, and it is worth re-apping a handful. I just wouldn't go that far. Like, I mean, if you've got 10 really good ones, then you've got more than enough. But if you have, you know, just a few, then you're going to be happy that you have them. Huh! We got it! Dude! Oh my god! Oh my god! That is sick. I'm like afraid to click select. I need to make sure that just boom out of nowhere. I've like got to just keep clicking on this over and over, make sure I select the right one. All right, well, obviously, let's just start off by doing this. 33. HP, max attack, max crit damage, which I don't think we want, or 2 off max accuracy. We can do this as well, because we're obviously not gemming this. Dude, not only is it 33 speed, not only is it slot 4 HP, which is insane, but it's going to be triple grindable with a usable innate and a usable sub. Like, one of the best overall runes I've seen. Seriously, one of the best overall runes I've seen, period. Now, the question is, where do we put the defense? Does it go over crit damage or accuracy? And there's a real case for both. So, the crit damage case is that you have crit rate innate, but then again, who cares, because it's not going to be enough crit rate for a monster that would use this rune to be 100 crit rate. So the real crit damage case would be Byung-Chul. And outside of Byung-Chul, I almost cannot think of a great crit damage use case for this. Now, the accuracy side, most monsters would appreciate the 6 accuracy, and if we had to evaluate stats in order of importance, crit rate and accuracy would both be above crit damage in most cases. But it's slot 4 HP. So that means that most monsters that want slot 4 HP don't really care about either of these two stats. And Byung-Chul is going to be on crit damage. Riley is not going to get a rune this fast. On the rare case that she does, like, who cares if there's 6 wasted accuracy, because the crit damage is wasted as well. Same thing is true for Lulu. I mean, you guys are all saying keep the accuracy. My first thought is keep the accuracy. My last thought is going to be keep the accuracy. I'm talking things out as much for stream as anything else, just because I want to explain the thought processes that go here. Because I don't think when you get a once-in-a-lifetime rune that you want to make an instant decision. So this would be my actual thought process. Now, I'll tell you right now, my end result, where I'm going to get to, is basically you put the defense over the crit damage, because crit damage has more accuracy. Like, so I think Bronson just said crit damage has more synergy. Crit damage has more synergy on every single rune in the game except for slot 4 HP and defense. Those are the only 2 runes in the game that it does not really matter. And the reason for that is because you're not going to be able to run a slot 4 crit rate. So if you were to try and get to 100 crit rate, this rune would be utterly wasted. Because to get to 100 crit rate, you're going to need a bunch of multi-roll crit rates on the other slots, which is going to put you back in a slow build, and you're never going to run a 33 speed rune on a 239 build. It's possible if you had like a 30 crit rate slot 2 maybe, and you put it on a monster that awakened into crit rate, you could get there, but short of having like just a massive quad slot 2 speed over crit rate, it's just hard to imagine any monster really having enough crit rate to benefit from this. Yeah, so that's pretty much my thought process here. At the end of the day, the crit damage is a max roll, the accuracy is off max. That's unfortunate. And the reality is that a lot of monsters that use this rune won't care about either stat. But I think more monsters that use this rune will care about the accuracy. So for example, you might run, like if you're running an Oracle without 100 crit rate, sometimes you might run them with like 80 or 90 if you're like it's close enough. So put this on like a Praha, like a Vio Praha, for example, just for the speed, and then you try and get as close as you can from crit rate through innates or 4 subs or whatever. She would definitely prefer the accuracy. Pretty much every monster I can think of who would run this rune would either prefer the accuracy or just not care about either. So, Carlos, this is going to be the fastest rune on your account possibly forever, and it will be one of your fastest runes forever. I personally recommend that we put defense over crit damage, but I do need your verification before I make that particular gem. Because I just don't think that, you know, if you regretted my choice, I would not be happy. So my strong recommendation is going to be to put crit damage over, or excuse me, to put defense over crit damage. Okay, cool. All right, guys, this might make the music too loud. My headset just died. I'm going to need 10 minutes of charging, and that is, sometimes my mic picks up the stereo speakers, so if the music gets too loud, no, for sure that's too loud. So if the music's too loud, just let me know. Okay, he says, yeah, gem crit damage. So can we do 13 on your miracle rune? We can do 12. That's good enough. That will work. Come on, 22, baby. All right, yeah, we got to hit this one more time. If it derps, I'll let you go again. All right, close enough. There you go, bro. That is definitely the rune of the day. That is the rune of the month and of the year. And, oh, man, we were talking about it earlier, the odds of getting this rune. So it was, I think we settled on 40,000 to 1 to get a 30-speed rune. So you could divide that by 3, and it's 13,000 to 1 to get a 33 or faster. 13,000 to 1 to get a 33, 34, 35 speed rune. So there you go. We beat the odds and made up for the slow start, I think, definitely. And that was actually following the 20 speed. I mean, 20 speed now seems low in comparison, but that was following the really nice defense rune that just hit also. All right, this one's ass. We can we do back-to-back 30s? Well, close enough. Why not? Let's just rain 20 speed runes for a while. Okay, does this get legend? Maybe not. I think this gets hero. All right, well that was 3 I honestly think that was 3 re-ups. Now I'm kind of, might have been 4. I think in the last either 3 or 4 re-ups, we've done 2 20-speed super efficient slot 4s and a 33-speed super efficient slot 4. Can we make it 4? Not with no innate. This rune screwed us over and over repeatedly before. Time to fix it. Well, that is definitely better. It's still not good because the crit damage is completely useless, but it's better. All right, we're going to stop. This rune, there's another one of those like black hole runes. It just doesn't want to hit. Let's go. Man, I'm still kind of actually torn on this one as a re-app target. This one I'm not so torn on. This one's a bad rune. Okay. Did you specifically call 28 speed, bro? I might have missed that. Let's see. You called 30 defense wins. 27 to 29. All right, he did call it. He did call it, so I'm going to give you a pin. We'll go ahead and pin it. You said 27 to 29. Nice. 17's all right. Bro, that was insane, man. That's I think I'm pretty sure, let's see, which side, this side's better, yeah. I'm pretty sure, not positive, because it's a lot of, it just keeps coming, man. They just keep coming. And they're not like derps either, because they're triple grindable. All right, so this, I actually think we go like this, right? It was really close to legend in my book. That was really close to legend in my book. Yeah, he said exactly between 27 and 29. So that is literally a 28 speed rune. So next time, if you could say between 29 and 31, we would all appreciate it. I'm just saying. But that is 4 20 speed runes in the last like 5 runes that we've re-upped, I think. Let's just finish this one off. All right, we won't finish that one off. We'll leave it grind. So it was a slow start. It was definitely a slow start, but it picked up. It picked up a lot. All right, can we do one more? I mean, so you're going to be like just crazy fast on your slot 4 and only your slot 4 apparently. Well, no, because we did have the slow quad speed on slot 6 also. No, I put legend speed on 20s also, Bronson. If that was my account, I would have gone legend on that rune just because of the efficiency. But when I'm on stream, I'm more conservative because I don't know how much people farm R5. There's a few people, like I know them really well. If I know how much they farm, then I would have gone legend there as well. All right, not my favorite stat mix here for an attack rune. It's efficient, but it's not really a great stat mix. And we've been running good, so we're going to push a little. Yeah, there we go. 19. Ugh. I mean, I keep the 19, but man, that's a really bad rune. Let's do a better version of this. 19 with stats, okay? All right, one more and we'll move on and leave this just marked, I guess. Yeah, all right, that one doesn't want to hit. Let's try some slot 6s. We need fast runes on other slots as well. I said I wouldn't come back to this one, but screw it. We're in the groove now. Is that better? That's better, right? Sort of. It's actually a little better. All right, so let me see. So we're 16 speed on both sides. Here we would gem attack over flat defense. And then we would keep the flat HP with greater synergy. Here we would gem attack over defense %. So we're trading 10 crit rate and 200 flat HP for 18 accuracy. So this side is better. Okay. Because of the synergy, this side was better. Well, I think you're stuck with this one. I gave this whole speech earlier as well. Not a great stat mix at all, but this is damn near all max rolls. It's insane efficiency, and there are a couple of valid use cases. Tessarian and Xingzei are the primary ones. But just with this actually, anytime you've got a high triple, you go legend. Just as efficient as this is, it's not a stat mix that I really like, but the actual efficiency is just off the charts. I mean, you're 3 off max on the triple here, 3 off max here. This is a max roll on speed. You could choose to regem the HP or you could choose to regem the speed, but I think I regem HP just because of the style of the rune. Like, it's a super tanky rune and it's going to go on a slow monster either way, so I'd rather just try and make up an extra, you regem speed and your hope is here to maybe get 8. So you can get +2 speed versus +5 HP. And I think the +5 HP has more value. So yeah, we're going to go just a regem on the HP. We'll grind the 6 speed. Let's see if we can get to at least 10 or 11. Make it worthwhile. There we go. Perfect. So it's a super thick rune. It does work really well for 239 Tessa, 239 Xingzei. I mean, it's just neither of those monsters care that much about defense. They care much more about HP. And that's true of pretty much any monster that doesn't scale on defense. Most monsters care more about HP. So it's not the greatest triple that we could have gotten, but it's the greatest efficiency. Pretty much where we stand. So when I say a 239 build, I'm talking about the 239 speed tick. So for most monsters, that's around a +124. So on a monster with 100 base speed, that's +124. For most monsters, because most monsters in the game nowadays are a little over 100. It's more like a total of 223 speed, because then you get rounding from speed tower. So the way Summoner's War works is that it advances... there's in the code of Summoner's War, there is what is considered to be a measurement of time within the game. And the game time is called a tick. And the tick is when the attack bar advances on every monster. So 239 is one of those breakpoints where the attack bar advances. And what that means is that the monsters don't all gain the exact same amount of attack bar at the same time, but if they're on the tick, they all gain about the same attack bar. So one monster might gain, let's say, 10%, and another monster might gain 10.2% or whatever. but they all gain about the same, so it allows them to continue acting at about the same without getting cut or without starting to get lapped over time. I'm trying to explain this simply, and I might be doing a poor job of it, but what it amounts to is giving yourself the best chance of having all your monsters attack on the same turn without getting cut after a few rotations of attacks. And the way that cut would occur is if you have monsters that are on different ticks, they're gaining attack bar at different intervals. And for those of you who are not familiar with attack bar, the monster with the highest attack bar on the field will attack. And if there are multiple monsters with over 100% attack bar, the attack bar just keeps going. So it is possible to have 120, 130, 150, 200. In theory, I don't know what the max is, but it's possible to have way over 100% attack bar. And then once you attack, your attack bar resets to 0. So if you have a monster on a lower tick and then a monster on a higher tick, the monster on the lower tick is going to be competing for turns with all the other monsters on its same tick for the most part. And it is possible that it winds up getting like 130 or 140% attack bar. When that attack bar resets, your monster on the higher tick already has a ton of attack bar because it's been gaining attack bar at different times. And your monsters will start to desync over time. I tried really hard to explain that very simply and very quickly. I hope I accomplished it. It's a complicated topic to explain in just a couple of minutes. Hopefully I got there. All right. Let's see. So this is one that we can give. Well, that's already better. Is it good enough to keep? It's on the edge. With it having no innate, it's pretty close. We're not going to go past one more on this, I think. I lied. We're going to go one more because it's really not quite good enough. Now it is. I mean, for a no innate, yes, you're missing an entire full roll. I understand that. It's 4/4 into res, basically. It's possible it's a triple in HP, but it's more likely it's a 4/4 into res. But that's fine. I mean, it's a slot 6 attack percent, and it's basically a near max hero, which is still well over 100% efficiency. And the nice thing, it has a really good stat mix. So you can just throw crit rate over this. We don't have it, so we're not going to put it there, but you can just throw crit rate over the resistance. And then the thing about this is this rune is flexible because you can continue to change that middle line or that second line for whatever it is you might need at any given time. So for being a rune with no innate, which are innately hard to re-app, that's a win because you made something that's usable. And that's really all you care about. Just get something usable. This not super... Actually, I take it back. It's a really high triple. So it's the exact same thing I just said on the last rune. We're missing a roll, but a max hero is also really hard to get. I kind of wish it just had innate so that it would just be a little more efficient. But 28% resistance is useful. I mean, any way you split it, it's useful. I think here, honestly, I probably regem the defense. No matter what, I'm going to keep this. I don't think for this rune that we care about attack percent at all. And if we don't care about attack percent at all, we don't have a reason to gem out a roll. So it's really just a question of do we regem speed or do we regem defense? It's obviously not a great rune, but it didn't start as a great re-app target. So for 2 re-apps to get a 28% resistance rune, I'm happy. And me personally, I think I gem the defense percent. I'll leave it up to you. It's going to be use case stuff as well. But it's going to be a slow rune no matter what. So I probably just regem the defense. The other thing you can do, if you have a lot of Leos, and I know I've talked about this previously, the thing is we always joke on stream like it's a Leo rune. Well, first of all, violent runes are not really Leo runes for Siege. But there's a lot of monsters you run with Leo that do need Vile runes that don't need speed. Unlike Leo, they don't have to try to get to 0 speed. It's okay if they have some, but they do need as many stats as they can get. So giving them runes with 0 speed is fine. And in that case, you could gem this speed out for attack percent. It's just that most of the monsters that you run with Leo, I guess, actually, to be honest, you could put this on like an Aaliyah and gem the speed out for flat HP. Yeah, or a support unit. Like you could put this on a support unit or on a Fang. But if you... Well, yeah, because the flat defense makes up for the low defense roll. Yeah. Yeah, this could go on either a support unit or a Fang. I would probably gem the speed out for flat HP. I mean, you know, I say all the time, resistance is not everything. Efficiency is not everything. So this is not an efficient rune, but it has a really useful stat synergy. So you may as well embrace that synergy. Gem out the speed for flat HP and just have an ultra tank rune for uses with Leo. That's the way I would go. All right, this rune I'm still on the fence with. This rune, I honestly think you just gem in the attack and call it a day. 2, 1, 1. Yeah, I think this is just gem in the attack and call it a day. I know why you mark. I get why you mark that rune because the roll into defense and it's just like the crit rate. It's like kind of not super synergistic, but I mean it's triple grindable. It's highly efficient. It's got a little bit of speed. The speed crit rate combination is hard to get. You'll find uses for this rune as it is. This one I keep coming back to, and I think we can move with keeping the chilling rune. It's a little bit easier to gem this one. I don't love, or excuse me, to re-up this one. Well then, now it's a really shitty rune with a really big quad that we have no choice but to keep. It's actually not as bad as I'm saying either, honestly. This, do we go attack or defense here? I think you go attack. This is going to land on either a Diana or a Helena. It's going to land on one of those two. They both actually would prefer defense, wouldn't they? Because they both scale into... Yeah, you go defense here, right? You would just go defense here. The only... well, okay, so Abdullah's saying Leo rune, but honestly, I think Leo these days is mostly just attack, crit damage, attack in RTA, or attack, crit damage, resistance, something like that. And in Siege, you would pretty much never, almost never use a Vio Leo. In these metas right now, you would never use a Vio Leo. At least I wouldn't. We had conversations about this recently. I know not everybody agrees, but I would never use a Vio Leo in the current meta. I mean, one way or another, you're changing the resistance, and it's gonna be attack or defense, right? No matter what, you're changing resistance. You're keeping this, but if you put, so I mean, the thing is, like, you could gem out the speed and then just commit to it being a Leo rune, but I think, well, yeah, that's it. That's the only monster that could use this for the most part. I don't think there's any use, any justification at all for gemming the speed out on this one. I think the speed is useful. So yeah, it's just a question of attack or defense. Like Aegion's saying that the flat defense, makes up a little bit. It's like 4%, 5, maybe, well, 1,000. So it's probably like 6%. So you're getting like 6% defense on the top. It's just it's kind of going to depend on where this goes. For a Vio on Taurus, you would gem out the speed. I still prefer Despair on Taurus, but I know there are a lot of people that use Vio, and he is annoying that way. So I wouldn't blame you at all. I ran Vio for a season on Antares, and I just felt like I did better with Despair. But when I face a Vio on Taurus and he starts proccing, it's annoying also. Yeah, that's probably what I'm leaning towards, Aegion. So the thing is, you want to put something on this, because if you use Swap, then Swap's not going to read it unless you're simming it. We're not going to put a legend on right now. I think you put the legend on when you know where the rune is going to land. I'm trying to think of any other use cases. So a lot of the monsters that we're using on offense right now that would be in crit damage builds have an auto crit, like Byung-Chul and Mi Yang. Other monsters that would really care about crit, that do not care, that want to be on a slot 6 HP, you have like a Carcano would definitely want attack and would love this rune. Vigor, 50-50. Vigor's base, defense, and attack are both super low, but he scales on attack, and the thing is, you can run him either way. Like, you run the Vigor, if we put attack here, you put defense artifacts on. If you run defense, you put attack artifacts on, so not much changes there. The two monsters I keep coming back to, though, are the ponies. I feel like this is just a built for Helena or Diana rune. Thing is, if you're going to pair them with Leo, the resistance works, but I feel like this is an RTA. It's a built for Diana rune in RTA. That's the biggest thing. Tessarian would be another big one that would use this as well. Tessarian struggles to get enough attack in his like in a crit rate build. A lot of times I struggle to get Tessarian enough attack. And Xing Zhe is another one. They would both want attack more than defense because they have passive damage reduction. I think at the end of the day, I just keep coming back to attack for the simple reason that defense is worth less than attack. If this goes on a Diana, I would probably switch this over to... I might. If this goes on a Diana, I might switch this over to defense. But for the time being, attack just makes the most sense to me. And either way, it's swappable. The 11 roll is going to make it a little bit harder for you to want to gem it off. But no matter what, you can convert it. So, yeah, I think that's, for me, that's a good place on that one. All right, this rune we talked about earlier. So the point being that, you know, the one use case that could really benefit for this would be a resistance Byung-Chul on defense. That actually, to me, honestly, almost makes it worth keeping this rune as it is, because there's not a ton of need for resistance runes. I do use a fair number. You get Bulwarks and Amelias, but more often than not, I try to get my resistance through subs anyway. And this is a pretty unique rune. It's not super efficient, but it's unique. And to me, that creates enough of a use case that I think you can actually keep this. I would just regem the speed here. I would keep the accuracy and the crit damage, regem it for a little bit faster speed. You're not going to get much, 1 or 2, but that 1 or 2 would help. And that's pretty much where I would stand on this one. It's a little too unique for me to want to regem, for me to want to re-app this one further. This one we can hit a little bit, and then so I think Carlos is headed to bed, since he is EU, in a couple of minutes here. So we might just stop right on 300 reapps. And then, as I said, we're going to split this into a double stream. I'll wrap up. I'll do a couple of wings of RTA on my account before we wrap up, but not too much. I got to head back to work as well. Huh. For a defense rune, I think I'm okay with just keeping this how it is, because it's got usable stats, and defense is not like our favorite rune to re-app. I'm actually fine with just keeping the flat HP here. I don't mind the roll of flat HP. We throw an attack gem on and we call it a usable rune that wasn't usable before. For me, that's good enough. This should be marked gem. We need a higher gem on that. All right, this rune, 23, and yeah, we're missing a roll. The 23 attack is nice, but overall not quite doing enough for us. This is already better, right? So we're going to lose a couple of speed. You can technically regem up to 10 speed, but realistically we'll get 8. So we're trading 3 speed and 2 attack for 7 defense and 12 crit damage. That's definitely an upgrade. And now I think this is good enough to keep. This is a really good Byung-Chul style rune and so forth. I bet the 28 speed rune woke you up a bit. What about the 4 20 speed runes that came wrapped around it also? That was like the stretch that we were looking for all the way. So yeah, right here, I think we just regem speed. I actually do think this is ultra efficient, so I am fine with the legend speed here. Well, now it's even more ultra efficient. I wish I had done a better job of keeping account. I feel like we didn't wind up getting as many reapps. Well, I'm sure we didn't wind up getting as many reapps as I would have hoped for 300. But at the end of the day, we got a lot of really big reapps. There was just like so much. It was like not a normal session, where it was like we would go 30, 40 reapps and not hit anything. Then we hit like 5 monster reapps ultra fast. But there were like 4 or 5 other really big reapps spread throughout the day as well. And I feel like at the end of the day, it wound up being an RTA session instead of Siege. Like we said it was Siege based because we just wanted to do a lot of runes, but instead what we did was we hit a whole lot of really big runes. I don't know the exact count, but it just feels like there were more big reapps than usual and less reapps. Like less successful reapps than usual, but more big reapps. I mean, obviously the 33 speed rune helps headline that. But there was another quad speed. There were at least... That's a spider. There were a minimum of 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. There were a minimum of 8 20 speed runes. Might be more, but there's 8 that I remember. There was a quad resistance and then a 29 speed resistance that also had speed rolled onto it. So just those 10. Then there were a handful of really high efficient runes as well. So there had to have been 12 to 15 really big re-ups today. Big boy, sorry, counters for and with Leo, like Helena. So the most common things run with Leo are going to be Fang and Helena. You can really run anything. Like, honestly, you can run anything with Leo if it makes sense to counter into the opponent's defense. Like, there's not a lot of set comps, but the most common ones are just Fang and Leo. Sorry, Fang and Helena. Did I go? Oop, I went 1, 2. I went 2, 2. Well, all right, we'll finish this rune then, since Carlos has woken up a little. Oh, okay. 30 attack, high triple. Do kind of wish the flat defense was not flat, but this is an OP Camilla style rune, and we can live with it being flat defense, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's 40% attack. There's a lot of monsters, a lot of monsters that will find value in this. This one justifies, even though, well, all right, so much for that. But still, 40% attack, it does justify the legends. And like I said, 40% attack, that'll work. One more try. All right, we're good with that. So the funny thing with the grinds is I swear, like, every hero speed grind took like 5 times to land +4, but the legends have been hitting. And that's what really matters, because the heroes are easy, the legends are hard. We've had a lot of legend land 10 also. This is really nice. I mean, obviously, we wish the flat defense was defense %, but this is still really, really nice and synergized. So, do we want to regem speed here? We probably, I think we're fine with that. You may regem speed at some point in the future, but it's probably not urgent for this rune, so I think we can call this one done. All right, so that leaves us with these two. Honestly, I mean, this one I think we could go a little further on. I stopped on it earlier because we were cold, but it's not the most useful rune in history. So it is quad grindable, but it's a double into defense, super low rolls into attack, super low rolls, double low roll into defense, min rolls in attack. Just not like the most useful rune in history. So if we could turn this into something better, that would be nice. See, guys, you said Red Bull sponsor when, right? It's the Red Bull that did it. Everything turned the moment I drank a Red Bull. I'm just saying, like, it was going nowhere. Then I drank a Red Bull, and all of a sudden the reapps just started popping off. 20 crit rate over 11 defense and a flat with no speed. Literally the only use case I can think of for this is a Galleon with Tiana, maybe. Even then, that's a stretch. We can go we'll go one more on this. We'll see what happens. All right, we'll stop there. And Aegeon calling, yeah, and Aegeon calling for it at the exact moment. Oh no, man, I'm just straight regular Red Bull. Same thing for Monster. I prefer the original green Monster. Mountain Dew, I don't like all the variety of Mountain Dew flavors. Just give me like a straight Mountain Dew. Like anything with caffeine, basically. I mean, I drink my coffee black. I don't know if the camera will catch that, but I drink my coffee black. Just all the original stuff. I'm going to stop on that one for now. I don't love spamming reapps onto 20 crit rate. All right, bro. Let's see. We said we'd stop at 300. We went a little past. Do you want to, you know, I just want to sell that one, honestly. I'm going to put this in reeval later, so I'm not seeing it. I think it's a sell. This one we kept because it had synergy, right? High double, moderate double, has attack. This is, yeah. This is honestly just a keep. You just gem the defense in here. 2 and 2. Yeah, you just gem the defense in. And then we had what here? So speed rune, crit rate, ack. think there's a keep also. The stat mix is good. You gem in attack percent, and so as you know, as we keep shitting on defense all day long, it's a shame that it's not triple grindable, but the stat mix is really good here. A lot of monsters want to get crit rate, crit damage, and accuracy all together off their slot too. What up, AQ? How you doing, man? By the way, I don't know how you guys do it. I mark runes at done once they hit 6 if it's Vio or Will, once they hit 7 for everything else. That's just my system. So if you've been watching me do it all stream, it may be different for different people, but usually for the Vio and Will, because there's always so many to grind, I mark them all done at 6. The gems I mark done at 10. But, you know, I have a lot of crystals to farm also, so a lot of people may go for lower numbers. All right, so this is all we have left of the 246 on Vio Will. Let's do it like this. We're going to close out on a Swift crit damage rune. We'll make this one the last one for today. So 289. We're going to stop at 280 if this doesn't land. Otherwise, we could do one more 33 speed rune, maybe. But we'll stop at 280 if this doesn't land, and then we're going to have a part 2 of this stream. And I'll post the part 2 date in Discord after Carlos and I work it out. Well, it is a whole lot better than it started. And there's a chance that it may be one of your faster crit damage runes. So I'm going to move to the one on this side. And we'll still go down to 280. I don't know if that rune should actually continue to be marked Reapp or should be kept. But I can double check when we get to 280. Morbius, so I do account services. My rate is 50 an hour. And you can get full information about that from the website that's right there. Or you can just message me in Discord. I know that I do not have anything available for the next week or two, unless it's something short. But yeah, just message me in Discord if you're interested in account service. I'm happy to kind of tell you what the schedule is. And if it's simple stuff, I mean, if it's just questions, you know, I'm always happy to help. But if it's something where we need to sit down and have a full session and so forth, then we can schedule an account service. All right, so we will stop there. The last thing I want to do is see if that rune should remain marked as a Reapp. 23, 19. Yeah, second fastest speed. I suspected that might be the case. So we're going to mark this as a reeval later. It's a future Reapp target, but for right now, it's actually usable. And so what we're going to do is recommend that you put a hero crit rate on here rather than wasting the legend. But put a hero crit rate on here, and it's something usable until you get, because it'll match your fastest rune. This is way better. This rune's obviously way better, but then it'll be an upgrade on this. So since it's all borderline upgrade, this is also pretty good. It'll be an upgrade speed-wise. This is a better rune. But overall, I mean, it falls into your top runes, so I don't think we can reasonably continue re-upping it. If we do, then we can only keep something faster, and that's kind of a bad spot to be in. I think you re-up this in the future, though. So you keep it right now, just in case you need a fast crit damage rune. And as soon as you get a couple of better ones, this moves back. You just change this right back down to re-up. All right, so guys, last thing I'll mention, I just put in both chats one last time. Shout out to Monopoly Go, who sponsored a couple of, let's see. Any crazy runes? This is, before I do this announcement, I should be doing this announcement on this rune right here. Oh, we should also be sharing this, huh? Okay. All right, so this is the rune that we'll be displaying as we talk about this. So yes, we did have quite a bunch of crazy runes. A little quick recap. The session itself was weird. So we wound up using about 320 reapps. We did not get as many runes upgraded as you would normally think for 320 reapps. That's a lot of reapps, and it felt very slow for a lot of the session. but we wound up having at least 8 runes that hit 20 speed. Plus this one, which obviously hit 28. Almost every single one, I think all but one of the runes that hit 20 speed were also super efficient. That was the biggest thing, is that they were all like 20 speed triple grindable with a really good stat mix. They blended with their innates. They were like 8 really monster runes. There were another there was a quad res, and there were about 5 other like super good runes. Overall, I would say we had 15-ish, give or take. I lost count, but 15-ish big reapps. This is obviously by far the biggest. But there was like a 40% attack slot 6. There's a 40-something% including flat, like a valued at 40% something HP rune out there. There was a couple of really big speed runes. So it was weird session because we did not get as much we did not get as many runes as you'd expect, but we got way more monster runes than you would expect. Kind of good for 331. Also a lot of efficient runes, even though it was dry. Yeah, and that's exactly it. Like the first 150 reapps gave us nothing, and the second 150 were actually really solid, but the second 150 overperformed more than the first 150 underperformed, something like that. So I guess it was 331 then, he said, not 321. Oh, that's true. We stopped on 280, right? Yeah, so 331. Okay. But yeah, so that's kind of the summary from here. So there's 280 left. We're still going to have one more session. We'll work out the schedule and post it in Discord for the final session. And then I did post links in stream, guys. Monopoly Go sponsored my last few streams. And the way the sponsored deal works, is I did not mean to turn off the music. But the way the sponsored deal works is that I have to get a certain number of activations in order to complete the sponsorship, and I currently have 33 hours left to get 3 more activations. So if you guys would like to support the channel, you can click on the download link. It has to be on a cell phone that I just put in chat. Install Monopoly Go. Try it out just enough to unlock board 2. That's it. It's about 5 minutes. And just by unlocking board 2, you actually help support the channel and help support the cost of like all the streaming software and stuff that it takes to stream. All right. So very much, honestly, guys, seriously appreciate anybody who, installs it and tries out the game. It genuinely does help. All right. So we are going to turn this off, and I am logged out of your account, bro. So you can log back in. I'm going to do, I think, just 1 or 2 wings because I need to head back to work as well. But I'll do 1 or 2 wings in RTA just to kind of wrap things up and see if anybody else has any questions before we're done. I should let you guys know that my box is not currently runed for the kinds of drafts that I am running. So the thing is, I pulled Maximilian a couple months ago, and I've been messing around with some different faster drafts. But my box, I changed a bunch of runes, and then I accidentally, after a siege, restored runes to what I had last season. So my box is speed tuned around a ragdoll. My box is speed tuned really slow. My box is just speed tuned really slow. All right. So I think here, this is interesting. If I go Nikki, he goes Sagar, and I'm in trouble, but I can take the Nikki here in a minute. And then put him in some sort of trouble. If I take the Ragdoll, I'm kind of in trouble as well. If I take the Tian Lang, can I block him from taking Ragdoll? Very possibly. And then I am going to want something that gives me support. I think Lima can work here. I'm afraid he's going to pull Sagar. Okay, I can deal with this. I think I can deal with this. So obviously Miles is going to be really strong into both of these, but you know who's going to be stronger is Suki. So let's go with the Suki because I kind of want my last pick to be a support. That's going to be Nikki. I think we're in pretty good shape on this one. That Gapsu is going to be, that Sonya is actually a great pick for him. If I ban this and he bans this, then I get outsped. So I'm pretty much forced to ban the Sonya. Gapsu is going to take a lot of turns. That's the biggest issue I'm going to have, is that Gapsu is going to take a lot of turns. I'm going to have to try and get this Juno down fast. That'll be the main thing. I think he wins this, actually. I don't think I got crushed on the draft, but I do think he wins it. The Juno is just too much of a problem. The Sonya was a great pick. The Sonya was a really great pick. So I don't have any Sonya trap builds right now at all. probably should not have done that. That was a mistake. I'm gonna pay for my mistake, but it's fair. I should not have gone with the TLS2. I should have just gone S1 into Wedjet. I don't know what I was trying to accomplish because I'm not gonna stun the Camilla. I mean, I know what I was trying to accomplish. I was trying to strip the buffs off, but it just was unnecessary. I mean, he had a little bit of good RNG here. He's had more than a little bit of good RNG because the Wedjet just resists everything. But still, a misplay on my part. Man, this dude procs a lot on top of it. Yeah, I mean, I do think I lost that in the draft, but I also got overrun by RNG. So it's something in between. Because I do think I lost it in the draft. I think I probably lose that either way. But, and I know I had the Suki proc twice, but it does no good if I get resisted on everything. I do have accuracy on the Suki doesn't have that much accuracy, to be fair. But then the Suki is the only thing that landed anything. The Tien Lang's Maxac, and he missed every single thing. The Moor pretty much missed everything. The Tien Lang misplay didn't help either. But yeah. Definitely lost on the RNG side, but lost more in the draft. Let's say it like that. So if I go Ponto Sagar, he goes Sekhmet. Then he's double fire with a reset. If I go Pontos Juno. Let's try that. Not too often you can draft these two together easily, and Juno's one of the hardest counters to Pontos, so it's pretty hard to draft him early at all. But into the Carnal, this is not bad. Now, if he doesn't bring anything cleanse here, I can probably go Tessa Shizuka. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. Is there anything better? I mean, I could probably do some LD abuse here, but I do like the Shizuka here. You can run Juno. I can run... No, the max is kind of rough here. Not Juno, Julian, I meant. Run the Laura, but no, I think the Tessa Shizuka is the best. I mean, it's more fun to play with the LDs, but the Tessa Shizuka really just effectively counters all of this. It puts a lot of pressure on him to pivot in his draft, too. We're going to ban that. And then do we go... So we need a damage dealer here. I think Beelzebub. Where do I get defense breaks? I get defense breaks from here or here. And go Beelzebub. I'm going to be lacking sustain that way. Man, if I had a Mi Ying, this is such a perfect spot for Mi Ying. But I think Beelzebub is the play. Yeah, I think Beelzebub's the play. Ban the Aaliyah. Okay. It didn't really matter. Almost anything I pick last there is getting banned, but still. But still, you want to make the best pick. Okay. Well, that was unfortunate. What the fuck? Seriously, what is with that? Man. All right, well, I don't want you cleansing, so let's do that. Never mind. Dude, what is going on here? Wow. Okay, but that one piece of RNG for me was about as big as his 20 pieces of RNG before it. So wow, bro, this is just getting dirty. Triple glancing. There it is. Nice. Should be up, right? Nope, one more. Wow. Just wow, man. Oh my God. That was like insane. Could not land anything. All right, last one. Last one, and we're going to call it a stream. All right, what can we do here? Something different. Let's try Laura first pick. Nana Ongiyuki. Okay, we're going to do... Let's do this. I was gonna say Shizuka into 4 strippers. That's probably I just go 0 for 16. Leo. So he's gonna counter his own tableau. Cool. Do I need speed lead here? I mean, I guess I may as well. Yeah, I may as well. Rehab session was interesting, Jake. Let's see. I think he goes there. Yep, I figured. Okay. We can do this. Laura's in front, so I'm fine with this. Okay, we'll do this. Thing is, everything's in front, so I get the invincibility up, and it doesn't matter that Ongiyuki's stunned. Get some just damage put out. Let me do this. All right, so yeah, the rehab session went well. We hit a 33 speed slot 4 of Vio that was triple grinded, just an OP rune. We hit, almost 10, 20 speed runes. it was a weird session because we didn't hit as many runes as you would normally hit. It was like a lot of dry spells followed by some really big reapps in the middle. But overall, pretty solid. We did wind up stopping with 280 reapps left, and we're going to break it into a 2-part stream. Aggie, if you're still here, that's foreshadowing, man. There's no way. You can see there was no way. It's still almost a 4-hour stream, a little bit of RTA, but about 3 hours of reapping, and we only managed to get through 330. So 1,000 reapps just, man, gonna be hard to happen. Hard to happen. But guys, that's going to be it for today's stream. So as always, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me on stream. And for once, I am going to remember to raid. I always forget on the Twitch side. Obviously, the YouTube side, I cannot. But we're going to raid Scribble. So let me see. Raid Scribble. Let's see. All right. Yes. So for once, we are actually going to remember to raid. And so guys, enjoy Scribble stream on the Twitch side, on the YouTube side. Thank you guys for hanging out with me on stream, and I will catch you guys all on the next one. Have a good one, guys.